Chapter 1. Would you like to send your brain or not? I think you should send one. I have, transmigrated again? Didn't I fight against the 10 great demon emperors and then perish? Suya opened his dazed eyes from the darkness and chaos. Why say again? In his previous life, he was originally from Blue Star. He was hit by a large truck that was rushing to improve his performance. He happened to be transmigrated into a female fantasy novel he was reading at the time called Feng Lin Tian Xian. Although he did not have a system, he thought he was familiar with the plot of the book and could be a big shot. But in the end, he didn't know which side quest he was assigned to follow, and he didn't meet any of the characters in the book, so he was forced to become a passerby. However, through his own hard work, he carved out a name for himself and successfully became an emperor. But before he could finally achieve the path to becoming a god, he fought against the 10 great emperors of the demon race and died with hatred in his heart. But I didn't expect it. When I opened my eyes, I found myself transmigrated again. But, what is this for? It was pitch black all around. But soon, noisy voices were heard all around, as if they were arguing about something. Suya listened as if a group of shrews were verbally besieging a young girl, and what they said was extremely shameless and quite green tea. Swanyan Holy Religion. King's Hall. I didn't expect that during your trip to Kunlun territory, Qinghuan, you could actually bring back 2 holy medicines for our holy sect. One is 100 years old, and the other is 1,000 years old. If you swallow them, it is enough to directly gain decades of cultivation. But, Qinghuan, you are extremely talented. You have already reached the venerable realm at such a young age. I'm afraid that swallowing this 1,000-year-old holy medicine will not improve you much. Why don't you give it to Meng'er? She is young, which is just the right age for shaping her root bone. This 1,000-year-old holy medicine is just right for shaping her root bone. Inside the hall, an old woman's hoarse voice was heard. She was holding 2 holy medicines in her hands, which exuded a strong medicinal fragrance. Just by smelling the scent, one could tell that these 2 holy medicines were extraordinary. Hear what the old woman said. The girl in the white dress suddenly showed a hint of hesitation on her beautiful face. Qinghuan, you are the great master, you should give in to the junior sister. Have you forgotten what your teacher taught you? Humility is an indispensable quality for a monk, and it is also a precious virtue. Seeing the girl in the white dress hesitate, the old woman frowned and scolded her softly. Yes. Great master, you have already reached the venerable realm. 1,000 years or 100 years are the same to you. Why do you have to compete with junior sister? That's right. It's useless for you to use it, senior sister. Why not create a root bone for junior sister? Several girls around were also chattering one after another, and their words reached the ears of the girl in the white dress, making her a little overwhelmed. See this scene. The girl in the green palace skirt hiding behind the old woman suddenly showed a smug smile, but soon she put away the smugness on her face, turned it into a look of grievance, and whispered. Master, fellow sisters, it's okay. These 2 holy medicines were originally obtained by Great Master Sister during her training in Kunlun Mirror. Meng'er is extremely terrified. How can I accept them? Besides, Great Master is unwilling to give it to Meng'er. At worst, Meng'er can go to Kunlun Mirror and find holy medicine to create a root bone for herself. Speaking of this, the girl in the green dress clenched her fists, her face full of determination. Nonsense. Only monks from the divine ability realm can enter Kunlun realm. Aren't you courting death if you go there? Hearing this, Taiyin perfected being glared at her. Then he set his gaze on the girl in the white dress again, frowning, with a hint of dissatisfaction in his tone. Qinghuan, Meng'er has reached the point where she has to go to Kunlun Mirror to find holy medicine to shape the root bone. As a great master sister, aren't you willing to help with even this little favor? That's right. I didn't expect that 1,000-year-old holy medicine could see the evil in people's hearts. Why? Let alone us, even if master is seriously injured and needs holy medicine to heal, great master would not be willing to part with her 1,000-year-old holy medicine, right? Around. Several girls also sighed. Hearing their discussions, the girl in the white dress's eyes turned red, and she bit her red lips with her silver teeth, feeling more and more aggrieved. These 2 holy medicines were what she had found with great difficulty in the Kunlun Mirror. In order to obtain these 2 holy medicines, she almost lost her life and was now seriously injured. But Master and the others didn't care about her injuries, but instead talked about her. What is holy medicine? Why should the big give way to the small? Both holy medicines are mine. Do you think you are worthy of them? Suya, who was in the darkness, got angry when he heard this. Etc. 2 strains of holy medicine, senior sister Qinghuan? Isn't this the opening plot of the female-oriented novel Feng Lin Tian Xian that he read? Have I finally reached the main storyline? The heroine Luo Qinghuan was morally kidnapped and forced to give the 1,000-year-old holy medicine that she had obtained at the cost of her life to her junior sister. When Suya saw this, he was almost persuaded to quit and was furious. I wish I could get into the book and beat this green tea little sister to death with one punch. But at this moment, the darkness before my eyes suddenly turned into rays of light. Then the ugly face of an old woman appeared before his eyes. Then the people around him, as well as the girl in green skirt who was hiding behind the old woman and pretending to be aggrieved, all appeared in front of him. At this moment, their eyes seemed to be looking at me. Suya was stunned and subconsciously raised his hand, only to see that his fingers were extremely slender, delicate, and beautiful. Hiss! This moment. He was stunned for a moment, then his face changed drastically. I exclaimed in my heart, oh my god! Good news, transmigrated again. Even better news, he transmigrated into a girl's body. And it was the body of the heroine of the book Feng Lin Tian Xian. Etc. Why is this better news? Suya must clarify that he is really not a pervert, he is a serious person and a gentleman. Congratulations to the host for binding the exclusive black investment system. Just at this moment, a cold electronic female voice sounded. Dark investment system. Hearing the system voice, Suya couldn't help but be stunned. Okay, the system didn't come in my previous life, but it came in this life, so what a weird system it is. Under the influence of the host, Luo Qinghuan will receive a reward each time he turns evil. The reward can be invested or not. If you invest in the heroine, you will receive a stronger reward. In my mind, that cold voice sounded again. Then a picture that only he could see emerged. Female lead, Luo Qinghuan. Age, 18. Realm, Venerable Realm, 1 star. Root bone, Heavenly grade superior root bone. Physique, innate, pure, and sacred body. Innate pure sacred body. Seeing Luo Qinghuan's physique, Suya frowned. He had heard of this physique in his previous life. Although people with this sacred body have terrifying cultivation talent, they have a fatal drawback. That is, she is a very kind person, not a saint, not good at speaking, etc. No wonder they were forced into this state. Luo Qinghuan did not argue with these green tea lovers. It was not that she did not want to, but her physical condition affected her and made it impossible for her to refute. I can only say that the author of this female-oriented novel does have some problems, as there is such a weird setting. And this evil heroine system is to help myself, to turn this pure, naive, and sweet heroine into evil. I see. Suya showed a look of sudden enlightenment, that is to say, if I can get the blackened heroine, the blackened reward, and then invest the reward in the blackened heroine, I can get a stronger reward. With this nesting doll, you will become invincible step by step. Isn't this simple? Suyi's mouth corners slightly raised, revealing a kind smile. Before he was reborn, how did you think he conquered the country as he had no system and was an outsider? Isn't it just by cheating and deceiving, winning people over with virtue that he can obtain so many cultivation resources, and the fierce bandit great Emperor Suya was the title that made him famous in the 9 regions of Tianxian in his previous life. As soon as this name came out, all the Tianxian cultivators were terrified. He remembered that in the book Feng Lin Tianxian, the heroine Luo Qinghuan was very miserable. Because of Innate's pure sacred body, Luo Qinghuan suffered a lot in dealing with human relationships. Also, due to her weak temper, most of the dirty and tiring work in the sect was assigned to her. This kind of moral kidnapping is common. Even at the very end, Luo Qinghuan was bewitched by everyone in the world, burning his blood and sweat, sacrificing himself to save the people of the world. It's simply an NC novel. But now that he is here, these have to be changed. Okay. A pure, naive, and sweet heroine, right? I will transform you into a dark and cold heroine. You. Who are you? Why are you in my body? I am very strong, you'd better not mess around. At this moment, Luo Qinghuan's pleasant but somewhat nervous voice suddenly sounded. As a monk of the venerable realm, she could naturally feel that there was a strange soul in her body, but for some reason she had no way to deal with it. For a while, her pretty face turned a little pale with nervousness. Could it be that? Is the legendary possession of another's body going to happen to me? No. I can't be afraid. The more afraid I am, the more he will think I am easy to bully. Hearing her voice that was obviously scared but pretending to be calm, Suya couldn't help but feel a little funny, and then continued seriously. My name is Suya. I am the life mentor given to you by heaven. Don't struggle, or you will explode and die. The body exploded, and died. Luo Qinghuan's face turned pale. As expected of innate pure sacred body, it is really easy to deceive. Suya smiled knowingly. That's all. Qinghuan, since you are unwilling to give this 1000-year-old holy medicine to Meng Er, then Meng Er will use this 100-year-old holy medicine to shape the root bone. Your teacher has taught you so many virtues of humility, but you have completely forgotten them. I am very disappointed in you. Just at this moment, Taiyin perfected being glanced at Luo Qinghuan, his old eyes filled with deep disappointment. Then he threw the 1000-year-old holy medicine in his hand to Luo Qinghuan with an unhappy look, and then carefully placed the 100-year-old holy medicine in Meng Er's hand. I didn't expect my senior sister to be this kind of person. For some material things, instead of the friendship of the master around. All the disciples of Xuanyan holy sect sighed. Snort. Meng Er, let's go. Taiyin perfected being snorted coldly, and prepared to leave with the girl in green palace dress, while the girl looked at the 1000-year-old holy medicine in Luo Qinghuan's arms reluctantly, with a longing look on her face. Don't worry, Meng Er. I will find you a 1000-year-old holy medicine when the time comes. Taiyin perfected being looked at the girl in the green dress and patted her shoulder comfortingly. Hearing this, Luo Qinghuan felt aggrieved and wanted to say something, but at this moment the control of his body was in Suyi's hands, so he couldn't say anything. As the first disciple of Taiyin perfected being, when she was shaping the root bone, her master only found a 10-year-old holy medicine for her to shape the root bone, and she had already repaid this favor. Over the years, she had entered the secret realm alone, and gave all the good things she had to Taiyin perfected being in return for her training. But now, the master said such sad words, and Luo Qinghuan felt more and more aggrieved the more he thought about it. Girl Luo. Since I am your life mentor given by God, let me teach you the first lesson. And at this time, Suya looked at the backs of the people leaving, a meaningful smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. Ah! Luo Qinghuan was stunned, and at this moment, Suya had already spoken, but although he spoke, the voice was Luo Qinghuan's. Master, wait a moment. When that clear and beautiful voice sounded, Taiyin perfected being stopped, turned around, and looked at her disciple calling her. She thought that Luo Qinghuan had changed his mind, and she forced a smile on her wrinkled old face. She knew her apprentice very well. Although she was very talented, she had a soft personality. So, very easy to grasp. Qinghuan, it's good that you know your mistake. Why don't you bring us that 1000-year-old holy medicine? Strength division, martial artist, spirit sea, soul palace, divine ability, saint emperor, heavenly venerable, creation, great power, reincarnation, holy lord, emperor realm, demigod, divine realm, etc. Dark female lead, Luo Qinghuan. Chapter 2. Under everyone's gaze, Suya walked to the side of the girl in the green dress and spread out his palm, then let junior sister Meng return this 100-year-old holy medicine to me first. Hearing this, the girl in the green dress thought that the great master had finally compromised and was willing to give her the 1000-year-old holy medicine. Without thinking too much, she happily returned the 100-year-old holy medicine to Suya and spread out her white and tender palms. Then thank you, great master, for the 1000-year holy medicine. Meng will definitely not forget your help when she shapes the root bone. When saying this, the girl in the green dress had a smug smile on her face. Snort. Fight with me? I am the treasure in the hearts of my master and fellow senior sisters. Luo Qinghuan, you fought so hard to get the holy medicine, so shouldn't you give it to me? Really? Suya raised a scornful smile at the corner of his mouth, and unceremoniously snatched the century-old holy medicine handed over by the girl in the green dress. Then, in front of everyone's astonished eyes, the storage ring in his hand glowed faintly, and he directly collected both holy medicines into it. Um. Qinghuan, what do you mean? See this scene? The smile on Taiyin perfected being's old face froze and he couldn't help but be stunned. You, what are you doing? Luo Qinghuan was a little at a loss when she saw this scene. When she saw everyone's eyes falling on her, she suddenly felt ashamed and wished she could dig a hole in the ground and crawl into it. Born with a pure and sacred body, if she were placed on the blue planet, she would be the ultimate social phobia. This girl is so kind. Shabai physique. Girl Luo, this is the first lesson I want to teach you. Since you risked your life to get both holy medicines, why should you give them to her? She still wants to choose? Choose Jamao. As long as you have no morals, they won't be able to kidnap you. Suya smiled at Luo Qinghuan. Moral, kidnapping. What is that? Luo Qinghuan was stunned and blinked her beautiful eyes. Suya did not explain, raised his eyes to look at Taiyin perfected being, and said in a cold voice. Nothing. These two holy medicines were obtained by my Kunlun mirror. They are mine. Even if they are useless to me, even if I throw them away and feed them to the dogs, it is my right. Master, you don't seem to have the right to interfere. As soon as these words came out, Taiyin perfected being and a group of Swanyan holy sect disciples were all stunned, looking at Luo Qinghuan in front of them somewhat at a loss. The girl's beautiful face now lost some of its weakness, and instead showed some indifference. It felt like the person in front of them was not the great master they knew, but someone else. You. Sister, how can you say that? You'd rather throw it away and feed it to the dogs than give it to Menger? Could it be that, is Menger so unbearable in your eyes? Is she so annoying? Hearing Su Yi's words, the girl in the green dress had a pale face and bit her red lips with her pearly teeth, looking very pitiful. Everyone who saw this scene felt distressed and loving. However, Luo Qinghuan won't fall for it at this moment. After all, the one in charge of her body is Su Yat, who is called the Great Emperor by the Tianxian cultivators. What kind of scenes has he not seen? Right. I just dislike you. Su Ya nodded and admitted it directly. Don't even mention this 1000-year-old holy medicine. I think it's a waste even if I use 100-year-old holy medicine on you. He has been practicing since he was 1 year old, and 15 years have passed. His current cultivation level is barely at the spirit sea realm. Even if this much time is used on a pig, its cultivation level is probably more than just the spirit sea realm, right? This. As soon as these words came out, there was an uproar all around. No one expected that the usually gentle great master would be so sharp and speak so shockingly at this moment. Sister. Senior sister, even if you are materialistic and don't want to give me the holy medicine, you don't have to humiliate me like this. At worst, Menger can go to Kunlun mirror to find the holy medicine to shape the root bone. The girl in the green dress bit her teeth, still looking pitiful. Okay. Then go ahead. Suya crossed his arms, looked at the girl in the green dress coldly, and then finished off the opponent. Remember to hold the life token in your mouth when you go, in case the sect finds your body and cannot identify you. After all, only monks of the Kunlun Mirror Divine Ability Realm can enter. With you, you're still far from that. Oh. The girl in the green skirt was a little overwhelmed by Su Yi's words. Her eyes gradually turned red and she finally burst into tears. Just a little green tea. Could his methods be better than those of the brutal great emperor? Luo Qinghuan. You're going too far. How could you make your junior sister cry? Seeing the girl in green dress crying loudly, Taiyin perfected being's face suddenly became a little ugly, and he quickly scolded her. I made my junior sister cry. Hee. Master, you are joking. It was the junior sister who wanted to go to Kunlun Mirror and risk her life, but as the great master, I persuaded her to come back with kind words. She was so moved that she cried. How can you say I made her cry? Suya crossed his arms and said seriously. You. Taiyin perfected being gnashed his yellow teeth, not expecting his disciple to become like this. He then snorted coldly, how dare you talk back to the master and bully your fellow disciples? I will send you to the law enforcement hall and let you reflect on your mistakes. Really? Hearing this, Suya was not at all flustered. He crossed his arms and looked at Taiyin perfected being playfully. If I remember correctly, our Swanyan holy sect is supreme in strength. And I am a prodigy disciple who ranks among the top of the younger generation of Xuanyan Holy Sect. If the sect master knew that you, master, forced a prodigy disciple to hand over a cultivation resource like the 1,000-year-old holy medicine to someone whose cultivation aptitude is countless times worse than mine, how would the holy master blame you? You. As soon as these words came out, Taiyin perfected being's mouth twitched constantly. Of course she knew this rule, but before, because Luo Qinghuan was soft-hearted, she could easily control her. But she didn't expect that this damn girl would suddenly change her nature and become so strong. For a while, there was silence all around. How is it, girl Luo, does this feel good? Seeing that they were silent, Suye asked Luo Qinghuan with a smile. This. Luo Qinghuan gritted her teeth, although these words were not spoken by her, they came out through her mouth, as if she had experienced it personally, a feeling that was hard to explain. But I always feel. It's like something that was suppressed is being released. I don't know. I was confused for a long time. Luo Qinghuan finally managed to utter a sentence. But this one sentence was enough. Suye knew that a seed of evil had been planted in Luo Qinghuan's heart, and all he had to do was wait quietly for it to take root and sprout. Chapter 3. That person, Suye. Luo Qinghuan spoke crisply and timidly. Let's go. Since both holy medicines are coming back, why don't we leave? If the control of the body was not in Suye's hands, this girl would have run away long ago. Walk. Leaving what? Suye sneered. What's mine is mine, but what's theirs isn't mine. Ah. Luo Qinghuan widened her beautiful eyes, her brain froze for a moment, and her face was full of astonishment. Without waiting for Luo Qinghuan to react, Suye crossed his arms and looked at the other disciples beside perfected being. Sisters, I have been taking you into various secret realms to protect you all. According to the price of hiring a guardian, each person needs to give me at least 500-year-old spirit medicines. Excuse me. Refuse to get away with it for free then. He waved his hand. The terrifying aura instantly overwhelmed these female disciples, and their storage rings all fell into his hands. See this scene. A few people were about to say something. He was stunned by Suye's terrifying aura and could only watch her take the Zhang Na ring away. After all, Luo Qinghuan's strength had already reached the terrifying venerable realm. Once they are unable to kidnap Luo Qinghuan on a moral level, they will have no way to deal with Luo Qinghuan at all. Luo Qinghuan. You. How dare you be so rude and unreasonable? I feel ashamed to have a disciple like you. Seeing what Luo Qinghuan did, Taiyin perfected being was so angry that his face turned green. He pointed at her and said, biting his yellow teeth. If you don't return the holy medicine to them, I will end our relationship as master and disciple. However, such a big bunch of words. Suye only heard the last few words. Dissolve the master-disciple relationship. That's great. Then let's lift it. Hearing perfected being's words, he agreed readily as if he had heard something great. Suye, what are you doing? She is my master. Luo Qinghuan was a little confused. Girl, let me ask you, what realm is this old man in? Saint Emperor realm. Luo Qinghuan said weakly. Yeah, a mere Saint Emperor. We are much higher than this old thing. Do you still need her to teach you? When have you ever seen a weak person teach a strong person? Is she even against Heavenly Dipper? Suye rolled her eyes in annoyance. With the existence of him, the great emperor of his previous life, is there still a need for this old guy to teach Luo Qinghuan? Qinghuan. Old man. When Taiyin perfected being saw that Luo Qinghuan agreed without hesitation, he suddenly lost his confidence and even felt a little regretful, and his tone softened. It is actually a lie to say that a disciple like her is ashamed. After all, Luo Qinghuan is extremely talented, and he is a prodigy disciple of the Xuanyan Holy Sect. Many other elders in the sect envied her for having such a disciple. She thought that Luo Qinghuan would give in after being threatened like this, but she didn't expect Luo Qinghuan to agree directly, and agreed so decisively. Luo Qinghuan. You are such a traitor that you dare to contradict master. You will regret it. Just wait for me. At this time, the girl in the green skirt gritted her teeth and glared at Luo Qinghuan with resentment. Obviously, she held a grudge against Luo Qinghuan for not giving her the Millennium Holy Medicine. Bang! However, The girl in the green dress had just finished speaking. Accompanied by a crisp slapping sound, Su Yi's raised hand fell heavily, and a bright red slap mark suddenly appeared on Menger's watery little face. Just call me senior sister by my full name. And you're threatening my senior sister. Today I will teach you a lesson according to the sex rules. Bang! Snap! 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 Accompanied by Su Yi's cold voice, it continued to ring. The sound of slapping continued. Su Yat, what are you doing? Are you crazy? Luo Qinghuan looked at this scene in amazement. Although at this moment the control of the body is in Su Yi's hands. But the feeling of being slapped hard on Menger's face was actually felt on her body. That feeling. It was like she had never experienced it before. He cultivated himself to the venerable realm and rarely had any conflicts with other cultivators. He basically fought against monsters in the secret realm or helped the sect to slay demons and eliminate evil. Fight with others. This seems to be the first time. And still under Su Yi's control. She seemed like a bystander, but also like a perpetrator. This feeling is just wonderful. Girl Luo, let me teach you one more sentence. Su Ye said to Luo Qinghuan while slapping her. The strong must severely humiliate the weak. Nearly hundreds of slaps in total. Menger's originally cute little face instantly turned into a cute little pig head. At least the essence has not changed. Just as cute. Done. Girl Luo, let's go. Su Ye stretched lazily with satisfaction. Just leaving. Don't you want to check on junior sister Menger's injuries? Luo Qinghuan glanced at Menger who was lying unconscious on the ground and said in a low voice. Oh? You mean, to see if she's dead or not? Girl Luo, I didn't expect you to catch on so quickly. Have you learned how to finish off the enemy already? Good. I'll go finish off the enemy now. Su Ye suddenly realized and planned to hit it off. Ah. Ah. No, no, no. You should leave quickly. Luo Qinghuan panicked and shook his little head frantically. One body, two souls with completely different personalities pulling each other madly. Only Tei and perfected being and others were left standing there in a daze, looking shocked and confused. Return to residence. This is a boudoir full of the fragrance of a young girl. It is tidy and clean, and one can see the girlish heart of the boudoir owner. Su Ye returned control of the body to Luo Qinghuan. In my mind. The system sounded. The seeds of evil have been planted in Luo Qinghuan's heart. The reward for evil is, Chaos Demon Seed. With this demon seed, she is destined to become a female demon that the world fears. Do you choose to invest? Chaos Demon Seed. Hearing what the system said, Su Ye raised his eyebrows. Isn't this thing just the best thing to blacken Luo Qinghuan? Immediately. He chose to invest without any hesitation. Investment success. Get reward, Great Dao Saint Master. When the host teaches Luo Qinghuan to improve her, the host can get 100 times the critical strike return. Comment, if Luo Qinghuan will become a female demon in the future, then when the host reshapes his body, he will be the world's strongest eternal demon venerable. Great Dao Saint Master. 100 times critical strike return? A hint of joy flashed in Su Yi's eyes. That's good. That. Just at this moment, Luo Qinghuan's crisp voice rang out. The girl sat at the table, looking at herself in the bronze mirror on the table, as if she was talking to another self. She mustered up her courage and spoke. What's the matter with calling you brother yet? The next moment, Su Yi's carefree voice sounded. Luo Qinghuan could even see that her pretty face in the bronze mirror had changed, becoming old-fashioned, like a female bandit. Can you close your eyes for a moment? I need to change my clothes. Luo Qinghuan said weakly. Her pretty face was rosy like a ripe apple, so cute. Simple. I'm inside you, just cover your eyes. Su Ye said seriously. Oh. That seems to be the case. Luo Qinghuan curled her lips and said oh, then she did as Su Ye said, raised her little hand to cover her beautiful eyes, and then the girl discovered a problem. Su Ye! She shouted crisply. What again? Your brother Yet is busy, if you have something to say, please speak up. If you have something to say, please speak up. Su Ye is still researching how to make Luo Qinghuan invincible quickly. After all, this girl is invincible, so what terrifying realm must he have reached? Wait until he recovers his body. Come out of this, girl. Not to mention the 10 great demon emperors, I'm afraid he can even get through this heavenly Dao, right? I can't change my clothes if my eyes are blocked like this. Then just don't block it. But... Luo Qinghuan opened her mouth, and her pretty face turned even redder when she thought that this guy was inside her body and seemed to be able to see whatever she did. It seemed as if blood was about to drip out. Rogue. She gritted her teeth, feeling aggrieved. But he had no choice but to give up struggling and began to change his clothes. And Suya enjoyed watching inside her. This girl is first-rate in both appearance and talent, but it's a pity that she's a bit flat. It's a pity that he is in the female channel and has such a stupid physique. But it doesn't matter. He will take action. He. Let's change Luo Qinghuan into a dark heroine and give the world a little shock. Chapter 4. Soon. Luo Qinghuan changed into a red dress. After all, the white dress she was wearing was already stained with blood. She had just returned from training in Kunlun realm, and had not yet treated her injuries when she was morally blackmailed. If Suya had not appeared, the 2 holy medicines she obtained from her injuries would have been lost. But... how did this guy appear in my body? Besides... how can he control his own body? Girl Luo, what are you going to do with these holy medicines? Just when Luo Qinghuan was confused, Su Yi's voice sounded in his mind. Have no idea. Looking at the 2 holy medicines in his storage ring and the holy medicines that Suya had taken from him with the logic of what's mine is mine, but what's theirs is not mine, Luo Qinghuan shook his head. Then leave it to me. He. At Su Yi's strange laugh, Luo Qinghuan's body trembled, and the control of her body was taken away by Suya. Ah! Luo Qinghuan exclaimed, pouting in grievance. She didn't even know who this body belonged to. This guy could take control of the body without her consent. And at this moment, Suya had several holy medicines in his hands, and he already had an idea of what to do with them. Several century-old plants are used for healing. This 1000-year-old treasure is used to increase Luo Qinghuan's cultivation speed. As long as this girl grows up quickly, he will be invincible. At this moment, the system voice sounded in Su Yi's mind. Great Dao Saint Master triggered. The healing elixir refined by the host will be 10 times more effective. The host will gain a boost from the cultivation enhancement pill made with the 1000-year-old holy medicine. After swallowing this pill, the cultivation speed and spirit chi absorption speed will be increased by 50 times. Oh! Good! Suya nodded with satisfaction. Then he took out the pill refining furnace from Luo Qinghuan's storage ring and threw all the centuries-old holy medicines into it. As the spirit chi in his hand emerged, the fire in the alchemy furnace began to rise. The aroma of medicine immediately filled the room. Do you also know how to pill refining? Luo Qinghuan looked at this scene with some surprise. Su Yi's movements were skillful, and the aroma of medicine in the furnace filled the air. Even some elders of Xuanyan Holy Sect who mastered the art of alchemy were not as skilled as him. Oh! Underestimating your brother yet? Suya sneered. Then he waved his hand, the fire in the pill became stronger, and as the pill furnace was opened, a round pill emitting a refreshing medicinal fragrance appeared in it. This is a 7th grade healing pill, the divine healing pill. It's a pity that your pill refining foundation is not strong, otherwise you could have made it to the 9th grade. Suya took the pill out of the pill refining furnace, his tone somewhat regretful. 7th grade pill. Luo Qinghuan covered her little mouth and couldn't help but exclaimed. Those who can refine 7th grade elixirs in Xuanyan Holy Sect are all at the level of elixir peak elders. Look at how naive you are. You should learn the art of alchemy. Not to mention saint grade, even emperor grade pills can be made for you by your brother yet. Suya rolled his eyes at her. Emperor grade. The little girl was terrified. What kind of horrible existence has she encountered? That's right. Here is another medicinal mud. Although the healing pill can heal your injuries, it cannot remove scars. It is better for girls not to have scars. This medicinal mud can remove scars. Suya took out another portion of medicinal mud from the furnace. Do you want me to apply it? Ah. No. No. No, thank you, I will apply it myself. Luo Qinghuan blushed and shook her head repeatedly, her eyes revealing clear stupidity. The locations of her injuries were all rather awkward. I'd better wait until this guy falls asleep before applying it myself. But she never expected it. Suya doesn't need to sleep at all. Suya. At this time, Luo Qinghuan shouted weakly. Why are you calling me brother yet? You, who are you? Why are you in my body? And can you control my body? And what is your purpose? Although Luo Qinghuan was a little afraid of Su Yi's fierce appearance, he still couldn't help asking. This one. Su Yi smiled mysteriously. You will know your brother Yi's identity later. As for the purpose, I'm here to change you. Change me. Luo Qinghuan looked up blankly. Listen, the reason why you are weak and morally kidnapped by others is actually due to the negative effects of your physique, not your original intention. The appearance of your brother Ye is to help you change all this. Su Ye said slowly. My physique. Luo Qinghuan was stunned for a moment. From childhood to adulthood, this kind of moral kidnapping has happened frequently, and she seems to have gradually become accustomed to it. But, did I really not resist? Or rather, want to resist? Seeing Luo Qinghuan deep in thought, Su Ye smiled with satisfaction. When she ponders what she wants and doesn't want, it actually proves that deep down in her heart she does want. After all, if she really doesn't want to, she won't think about it. Really? I am not lying to you, pink cut black. Then he would like to take a look. To what extent can Luo Qinghuan become evil? What does noble saintess do? Wouldn't it be nice for her to be a female devil? Luo Qinghuan was silent for a while, then asked again, then, will you always be in my body? Of course not. Oh. Hearing this, Luo Qinghuan patted his chest and breathed a sigh of relief. Why, are you so anxious to see your brother yet? Seeing her relieved look, Su Ye said jokingly while refining the pill. In no mood. You are too fierce. Luo Qinghuan pouted and shook her head repeatedly. I'm fierce? What do you know? This is called being kind. Fine. I don't need to explain so much to you. Under the influence of your brother yet, I believe it won't take long for you to understand the principle of being kind. He. Su Ye showed a meaningful smile. Your smile is scary. Luo Qinghuan trembled. The two of them were talking to each other. Soon. Inside the pill refining furnace, the pill fire gradually died out. Amid the aroma of medicine, another pill came out of the furnace. Is this the elixir made from that 1,000-year-old holy medicine? Luo Qinghuan asked curiously. That's right. This is the 8th grade spirit gathering pill. After taking this pill, your training speed and the speed of absorbing spirit chi will be increased by 50 times. The effect of the medicine can last for 5 hours. Su Ye nodded slightly. 50 times. Luo Qinghuan widened her beautiful eyes. Su Ye gave this girl another little shock. You don't need to swallow it now. It would be best to take it during cultivation. Su Ye waved his hand and put the spirit gathering pill into the storage ring. The host invested an 8th grade spirit gathering pill and received a saint grade soul pill, which can increase the host's soul strength. Accompanied by the voice in my mind. Su Ye continued. I remember that the Swanyan Holy Church should have a training tower. With your qualifications, you are qualified enough to enter the top level. Then you can take the spirit gathering pill to practice. However, when the words fell, Luo Qinghuan suddenly fell silent and stopped talking. Where do you want to go? Just when Su Ye noticed that the girl had suddenly fallen silent, he discovered that Luo Qinghuan's soul had already hidden in a dark corner, curled up, drawing circles on the spot, looking as if she had done something wrong and dared not say a word. I can indeed go to the top floor of the training tower. But the jade pendant that leads to the top floor was borrowed by senior sister Gongsun. Luo Qinghuan said in a low voice. Su Ye was speechless. Then ask her to return it. I want it, but senior sister Gongsun said that her realm is low. If she doesn't practice at the highest level, she won't be able to catch up with the practice progress of her senior brothers and fellow disciples. Luo Qinghuan said weakly. What does it have to do with you if she can't keep up with the training progress? Su Ye sneered. You, girl, are just suffering from a bad physique, but it doesn't matter, your brother Ye will help you. Speaking of. Just planning to leave. Wait. Luo Qinghuan quickly grabbed him. The training tower is closed at night, so you won't be able to find senior sister Gongsun even if you go there. Su Ye frowned, then go tomorrow. Hearing this, Luo Qinghuan seemed to be relieved, then her pretty face turned red and she bit her red lips with her pearly teeth. She seemed to find it difficult to speak, but finally she mustered up the courage. Then, Suyat, can you return your body to me? I just came back from Kunlun realm today, and I want to take a bath. I'll give it to you. Suya raised his eyebrows, very neatly. For you. Thank you. Luo Qinghuan said weakly. Hearing her words of thanks, Suya couldn't help but want to laugh. This body is originally yours, why are you thanking me? This made him feel that Luo Qinghuan was very similar to those clear-eyed female college students on the Blue Star in his previous life. If they were abducted, they would probably have to say thank you, right? But then again, I said I would pay you back, but do I really? Your brother Ye will wash for you, we'll follow each other. Ah! Watching Suya controlling his body and rushing into the bathtub, Luo Qinghuan stood there at a loss, her pretty face flushed, with wisps of white steam coming out of her weak soul. Chapter 5. The next day. Swanyan Holy Sect, Training Tower. Although the training tower has not been opened yet, there are already crowds of people in front of the tower, and many disciples are waiting here. Although the Swanyan Holy Sect is a first-class force in the desolate sky realm, its training resources are limited, and most of the training resources are obtained by disciples who enter the secret realm. And this training tower is one of the few public training resources. Therefore, he was naturally welcomed by the disciples of Swanyan Holy Sect. The training tower has 9 floors in total. The higher the number of layers, the richer the spirit chi it contains. But if you want to enter the higher levels, you must have a jade pendant that can enter the high tower levels. This kind of jade pendant is generally only available to disciples with high qualifications and contributions to the sect. Ahem. At this time, accompanied by a light cough from an old man. Suddenly, a red-haired old man in a grey robe and a cane appeared in front of the training tower. He looked at everyone and shouted, "The time has come. Children, step back. I am going to open the training tower, boom boom." The next moment, the entire training tower let out a roar, and the tower door opened wide, and a hot breath emanated from inside the tower. The training tower is open. Practitioners, please enter in an orderly manner. As the old man finished speaking, many disciples couldn't wait to rush into the training tower. Now, outside the training tower, several girls gathered together. "Senior Sister Gongsun, aren't you going into the training tower? If you don't go now, I'm afraid there won't be any seats left." A girl in a pink skirt glanced at the woman in a red skirt next to her. Seeing her tower door open and motionless, she couldn't help but ask curiously. "Junior Sister Anran, please stop worrying about Senior Sister Gong Sunday." Before the woman in the red dress could answer, the female disciple next to her covered her mouth and chuckled. "Senior Sister Gongsun can enter the 8th floor of the training tower, so she won't compete with us for the positions on the lower floors." "What? Senior Sister Gongsun can enter the 8th floor?" The female disciple called Anran couldn't help but exclaimed, her beautiful eyes widened. "Isn't Senior Sister Gongsun's aptitude the same as ours? How can I get to the top floor?" Snort. Hearing her words, the woman in the red dress snorted coldly, with a look of displeasure on her face. Then a gleam of light flashed along with the storage ring on the hand. A crystal-clear jade pendant appeared in his hand. This is indeed a jade pendant that can allow one to enter the upper floors of the tower. Anran looked at it, a little surprised. When she saw the word Luo engraved on the back of the jade pendant, she immediately realized, this is Senior Sister Luo's jade pendant. Did she lend it to Senior Sister Gongsun? Yes. Senior Sister Luo is so kind that she is willing to lend even something like this. When Senior Sister Gongsun has finished using the jade pendant, we will go and borrow one too. Since Senior Sister Luo is such a kind person, she should lend it to us, right? Several female disciples beside Gongsun Shui also echoed with a smile. Snort. Junior Sister Luo is incredibly talented. The training tower is definitely dispensable to her. It would be a waste to leave it there. Since it's a waste, why don't you let me help Junior Sister Luo use it? Junior Sister Luo should thank me for helping her use this jade pendant. Gongsun Shui raised her snow-white neck and said in a cold voice. Okay, you guys go first. In case there is no room left in the training tower. She waved at a few people. Hearing this, Anran and the others could only nod their heads in envy. Sister. Senior Sister Gongsun. Just as a few people turned around, a girl's voice as sweet as a silver bell suddenly sounded from the side. Gongsun Shuet, and Ran and others turned back subconsciously. Then he saw a girl in a white dress, with a face so beautiful that all flowers would pale in comparison, walking towards him. Sister Luo. Senior Sister Luo. See who's coming. And Ran and others couldn't help but be stunned. Junior Sister Qinghuan, why are you here? Seeing Luo Qinghuan, Gongsun Shui frowned slightly, and hid the jade pendant with a flip of her jade hand. After doing everything, she smiled and took the initiative to greet him. At this moment, the girl bit her red lip slightly, and there seemed to be some confusion on her pretty face. Girl Luo, what are you still standing there for? Why don't you take the jade pendant back? I saw the girl standing there. In her mind, Su Yi's unpleasant voice sounded. I don't know how to start. Luo Qinghuan was a little hesitant. Didn't I teach you how to speak? Or do you want brother Ye to teach you again while he helps you bathe? I don't want to. Hearing this, Luo Qinghuan's pretty face instantly turned red. Listen, girl Luo, if you want to change the current situation, you must overcome the negative effects of your physical condition and work hard to take the first step. This is the beginning of success. Su Ye said earnestly. Luo Qinghuan gritted her teeth, a look of determination appearing on her face. Then, she took a deep breath. She raised her beautiful eyes and looked at Gongsun Shuet. Sister. Senior Sister Gongsun, please return my training tower jade token to me. Hearing that Luo Qinghuan was here to ask for the training tower jade token, Gongsun Swalaya frowned, with a hint of displeasure clearly flashing across her face, but she still smiled and covered her mouth with her hands. So that's it. Junior Sister Luo, I am at an important stage of cultivation and need the assistance of spirit chi from the higher UPS in the cultivation tower. You don't want me to make mistakes in my cultivation, do you? After the breakthrough, Senior Sister will definitely return it to you. Luo Qinghuan had actually come to ask for it several times before. Whenever she said that, Luo Qinghuan would always show an embarrassment on his face and then return empty-handed. It should be the same this time. But, Senior Sister, I also want to practice. However, this time, the girl looked straight at her. Although there was still some timidity on her face, her gaze did not retreat. This. Hearing Luo Qinghuan's words, Gongsun Shui was obviously stunned for a moment. She didn't expect that Luo Qinghuan, who would always choose to give in when hearing her say this, would actually say this time. Junior Sister Luo. You are so talented, but my sister is not. We can only rely on external objects to practice. You and I are from the same school. Don't you want to help with this little favor? Don't you even have this little bit of fellowship? Besides, Junior Sister Luo is so talented that she doesn't need a training tower to practice, don't you think? Gongsun Shui said this and quickly winked at the people beside her. Except for Ran, the others also reacted. Yes. Senior Sister Luo, your realm is already so high, please give us the opportunity to practice in this tower. Yes. They all agreed. After all, after Senior Sister Gongsun finishes using the jade pendant, they will have to borrow it from Senior Sister Luo. Luo Qinghuan opened his mouth helplessly. It was her first time to make a change, but it was a bit difficult for her to cope with the situation all at once. Su Ye shook his head. But at least, still took that first step. Just take your time. All right. Girl Luo, step back. Let your brother Ye come next. Chapter 6. When Su Yi's voice sounded, Luo Qinghuan felt for the first time that his voice was full of security. After all, I always thought this guy was fierce. But as Su Ye took over his body, a special and wonderful feeling filled his whole body. Accompany Su Ye on the account. No one noticed that the aura of the girl in front of them had quietly changed. So, Junior Sister Luo, I won't return this jade pendant to you yet. When I achieve a breakthrough in my cultivation, I will definitely thank you well. Seeing Luo Qinghuan fall silent, Gongsun Shui thought she had become weak again, and a smug smile immediately appeared on her face. Of course, the thanks she had promised to give were just casual verbal remarks. Senior Sister Gongsun, isn't this a bit bad? Even Ran couldn't bear to watch this scene. It is rumored that senior sister Luo is extremely talented and has a good chance of becoming a cultivator. She may even become a saintess-like queen in the future. But he has a soft temper and easily gives in on some things. Now take a look. It seems to be the case. However, sudden. The girl's clear and sweet voice, like a silver bell, interrupted and Ran's words. Okay. If senior sister Gongsun wants to thank me, I don't want a gift that is too expensive. Just a few thousand-year-old holy medicine will be fine. As soon as these words came out, Gongsun Shui and others were stunned. He subconsciously raised his head and looked at the girl in front of him in surprise, his pupils suddenly shrank. There was no trace of weakness on the beautiful face of the girl in front of him. Her beautiful eyes were cold and her pretty face was full of coolness. She looked straight at the few people. An invisible sense of oppression enveloped everyone. Thousands of years of holy medicine. Junior sister Luo, please stop joking with me. Gongsun Shui came back to her senses and couldn't help but let out a dry laugh to ease the embarrassment, and said jokingly. I'm not kidding you. However, Suya crossed her arms and didn't give her any chance to back down. I don't have the 1000-year holy medicine. Seeing that Suya didn't give her any face at all, Gongsun Shui's pretty face instantly showed an ugly look, and she said while gritting her silver teeth. No. Then senior sister Gongsun, what does your slow cultivation have to do with me? Trash is trash. I have lent you the jade pendant for more than 10 days, but your realm has not improved at all. Suya sneered and looked at Gongsun Shui with contempt in his eyes. What? Junior sister Luo, you. Hearing the girl in front of her say this, Gongsun Shui's face suddenly became extremely ugly. The word waste was like a sharp arrow, piercing her heart. Senior sister Luo, even if your talent level is higher than ours, you can't say that about senior sister Gongsun. The female disciple who was traveling with Gongsun Shui spoke quickly. Roll. Senior sister Luo, you go too. After the rebuke, Gongsun Shui, and Ran and the others were all stunned as they looked at the indifferent and beautiful face of the girl in front of them. It was as if Luo Qinghuan in front of them had become a different person. And at this moment, Luo Qinghuan's soul hid in a small corner, and her eyes were twinkling with little stars when she looked at Suya. You. Luo Qinghuan. If you don't want to lend it, then don't lend it. Why do you have to humiliate me by saying this? I'll give it back to you. Gongsun Shui gritted her teeth, flipped her hand and a jade pendant appeared in her hand. She then threw it to the ground, shook her hair, and was about to leave. Pick it up. Seeing this scene, Suya looked calm and just spoke to him indifferently. If I don't pick you up, what else can I do? Boom. Gongsun Shui hadn't finished her words yet. The terrifying aura of the venerable realm suddenly swept the entire place. A terrifying force instantly hit Gongsun Shui's lower abdomen, directly knocking her away and falling heavily to the ground, with a mouth full of blood spurting out from her red lips. Puff. Gongsun Shui's eyes were filled with fear at this moment. She never thought that the usually weak Luo Qinghuan would actually attack her directly. She was only half a step into the divine ability realm, so how could she possibly be a match for a heavenly venerable? I'll say it again. Pick it up now. Su Yi's voice sounded again. Gongsun Shui raised her head with difficulty. The extremely indifferent eyes of the girl in front of her fell on her. There was no expression on her pretty face. She just simply repeated that sentence. But, however, she felt an extremely cold murderous intent from him. As if she dared to say one more word, her life would be in danger. This moment, Gongsun Shui did not hesitate at all, nor did she care about the pain coming from all over her body. Fear kept rising in her heart, and she quickly crawled towards the jade pendant that he had thrown on the ground. What a terrifying aura! That was, the pressure from a powerful person in the venerable realm. Soon, when Suya exerted his terrifying pressure, the surrounding disciples of the Xuanyan holy sect also looked over. Hey! That is, senior sister Gongsun Shui. Why is she lying on the ground in such a mess? The girl in the white dress in front of her is so beautiful. Who is that? You don't even know senior sister Luo Qinghuan? You are the youngest heavenly venerable realm expert in our Xuanyan holy sect. Hiss, heavenly venerable realm. Then the terrifying pressure just now was emitted by senior sister Luo. But what exactly is going on? It looks like senior sister Luo attacked Gongsun Shui. Isn't it a rule of the sect that disciples are not allowed to fight with each other? The disciples of Xuanyan Holy Sect were chattering and discussing. And soon. Then a disciple who had witnessed everything began to explain. It seems that senior sister Luo was kind enough to lend Gongsun Shui the jade pendant from the training tower, but after asking for it several times, Gongsun Shui refused to return it and even threw the jade pendant on the ground, showing disrespect to senior sister Luo. That's why senior sister Luo took action. The sect won't care about this kind of thing. Didn't you see that Elder Yan pretended not to see it? An ordinary talent disciple dares to disrespect a prodigy disciple. Doesn't he deserve to be beaten? Hearing this, everyone looked over. As expected, he saw the red-haired old man in front of the training tower with his eyes closed and concentrating, obviously not intending to take care of this matter. But isn't it said that senior sister Luo has a good temper and is very gentle? How could she attack Gongsun Shui? What do you know? Even rabbits bite when they are cornered. The disciples of Xuanyan Holy Sect were discussing the matter. Gongsun Shui was enduring the severe pain in her body and the fear in her heart. She crawled to the jade pendant, picked it up, and then handed it to Suya with both hands. Her body was shaking with fear. Luo. Junior sister Luo, I'll return the jade pendant to you. I was wrong about this matter. I apologize to you. Suya took it, not even bothering to look at her. He turned around and walked towards the training tower. At the same time, he was still talking to Luo Qinghuan in his heart. Girl Luo. Did you see that? That's how you use your strength. Just suppress it hard and it's over. In my mind. The little soul in the white dress nodded frantically. Chapter 7. Suya came to the training tower. Elder Yan, who had just closed his eyes and was resting, suddenly opened his eyes and nodded at Suya with a smile. It was obvious that he knew what had just happened, but he didn't intend to interfere. Qinghuan girl, the 8th floor is open, you can just go up directly. Thank you, Elder Yan. Suya nodded slightly, then turned and walked into the training tower. Only a group of Xuanyan Holy Sect disciples were left standing there in a daze, looking at each other. Looking at the departing figure, they couldn't help but widen their eyes and whisper to each other. Although senior sister Luo is not as weak as the rumors say, she is actually very handsome. Alright. Girl Luo, your brother Ye has logged off, you can do it on your own from now on. After Suya reached the 8th floor of the training tower in one breath, he returned the control of his body to Luo Qinghuan. Next, number. What does that mean? Luo Qinghuan was stunned. It means returning control of your body to you. Suya explained, and then a hint of teasing flashed in his eyes. Next time before you let brother Ye take over the body, remember to shout, brother Ye, please come on, come and demonstrate it first. Night. Night. Luo Qinghuan opened her mouth, her pretty face turned redder and redder, and she was totally unable to shout out. Because. So shameful. Haha. Suya laughed and stopped teasing her. Stinky Suya. After realizing that Suya was teasing her, Luo Qinghuan couldn't help but grit her teeth and stomped her feet. Although the being in her body was not simple, he was a very frivolous person, and sometimes acted like a gangster or a shameless bandit. Junior sister Luo. Just at this moment. On the 8th floor, a young man's unexpected voice sounded. A handsome man in blue came over. When he saw Luo Qinghuan, his eyes lit up and he smiled in a self-proclaimed handsome smile as he greeted her. Why are you interested in coming to the training tower today, junior sister Luo? Brother Lin. Luo Qinghuan looked up, her brows slightly furrowed. He is. Suyi's voice sounded in my mind. This person's name is Lin Yu. He is a disciple of Heavenly Saint Peak of Xuanyan Holy Sect. He can be considered a prodigy disciple in Xuanyan Holy Sect. Luo Qinghuan explained in his mind. The Xuanyan Holy Sect has a total of 8 peaks, and she is a disciple of the Frost Sword Peak. Hearing this, Suya nodded and said nothing more. I wonder why junior sister Luo has time to come to the training tower today. Seeing that Luo Qinghuan didn't say anything, Lin Yu thought she didn't hear clearly, so he chuckled and repeated it again. I came here because I was interested. Luo Qinghuan said softly. I see. Lin Yu showed a look of sudden enlightenment, then smiled and said, however, today is my chance to break through to Saint Emperor. How about junior sister Luo give me some face and leave today? Leave. Luo Qinghuan was stunned for a moment. That's right. Junior sister Luo, you are a kind person, you wouldn't be unwilling to help with even this little favor, right? Lin Yu said with a chuckle. As soon as these words came out, Luo Qinghuan frowned slightly, with a look of embarrassment on her pretty face. Before coming to the training tower again today, Suya had already told her to take the spirit gathering pill, but the effect of the medicine only lasts for 5 hours. If she leaves now, wouldn't it be a waste of the spirit gathering pill that Suya had worked so hard to make? Junior sister Luo, what's wrong with you? Today's training is extremely important to me. Junior sister Luo won't be so cruel as to watch me fail to break through, right? Seeing Luo Qinghuan silent, Lin Yu increased his strength. It is said in the sect that although Luo Qinghuan is extremely talented, he has a soft personality and is easier to control. After all, although the 8th level of spirit chi was rich, it was limited. If he really had to snatch the spirit chi from a very talented disciple like Luo Qinghuan, he would have no idea. Familiar words. Suya was in the soul space, folding his arms and sneering. Your cultivation is important. My cultivation is not important? But he didn't speak. Instead, he planned to see how Luo Qinghuan would respond. After all, what he needs to do is to change her slowly and darken her slowly, instead of letting him do everything for her. Linear. Senior brother Linear. At this time, Luo Qinghuan's cold voice sounded. At this moment, the girl's body was trembling slightly, and her pearly teeth were biting her red lips, as if she was trying hard to resist something. This is, the so-called innate sacred body. And at this moment, Suya frowned. In his sight, he could clearly see the dazzling holy white light emanating from Luo Qinghuan's delicate body. These white lights were like chains that imprisoned the girl's entire body. Once she started talking, the white light became stronger and stronger, blocking her. It is obvious that this innate pure sacred body is working in secret. Shabai Constitution. Seeing this scene, Suya couldn't help but curse inwardly. Why? That's all. With this thing here, I'm afraid it will be difficult for Luo girl to break free from the chains for a while. Suya sighed. Just when he was about to go on the number. Snap. Suya suddenly heard the sound of a chain breaking. Although the sound was very small, it broke after all. At the same time, Luo Qinghuan's somewhat nervous but extremely serious voice sounded. Linear. Senior brother Linear. Your cultivation, what does it have to do with me? The girl's face flushed red and her heart was pounding. This was the first time she spoke to someone like this. But at least, she did it. Humph. That stinky guy Suya will definitely be surprised, right? Puff. However, just when the girl was feeling proud, Suyi's uncontrollable laughter rang out. Although this girl is imitating him, with this silly and cute look, is she really being disrespectful rather than being coquettish? It has absolutely no lethality. But it doesn't matter. At least the first step has been taken. Luo Qinghuan has taken the first step towards evil, and has been awarded the divine rank technique, heaven-swallowing demon technique, which can devour all sources to strengthen itself. Do you want to invest? In my mind. The system sound dropped. Oh. It's actually a divine rank technique. Heaven-swallowing demon technique. This is a good thing. Suya raised his eyebrows slightly. He had originally planned to find a suitable time to teach this girl the emperor rank skills. After all, as a great emperor, the skills he possessed were naturally much stronger than the ones Luo Qinghuan practiced herself. But now the system takes action. If he rewards divine rank techniques, then there is no need for him to give lower level emperor rank techniques. However, he did not choose to invest immediately. Hearing Suyi's suppressed laughter in her mind, the girl's already red face became even redder, and even wisps of white mist came out of her head. She no longer paid attention to Lin Yu who was standing there in shock, and walked towards the depths of the 8th floor as if escaping. Was that what junior sister Luo said just now? Your cultivation, what does it have to do with me? Lin Yu stood there in a daze, his eyes full of surprise. He never expected that junior sister Luo, who was always kind-hearted, would say such harsh and heartless words to him. He was unable to accept it for a moment. If he successfully breaks through to the Saint Emperor realm, it will be beneficial to the entire sect. How can it have nothing to do with junior sister Luo? Junior sister Luo, you. He chased after him somewhat unwillingly. Roll. However, The girl suddenly turned around. The originally clear and stupid eyes suddenly changed, becoming full of frost, becoming cold and ruthless. Just a faint glance at him made Lin Yu feel as if he fell into an ice cave, freezing in place and unable to move. A word fell. The girl continued to walk deeper into the 8th floor. So yet, why are you here all of a sudden? Why waste time with this kind of stuff? Suya shook his head. Listen, girl Luo. Next time you meet someone so shameless and trying to blackmail you, just remember to tell him to get lost. Oh, Luo Qinghuan nodded her head thoughtfully. What if he doesn't leave? That's even easier. Just kill him. Ah. The girl blinked her beautiful eyes, confused and flustered. Lin Yu froze in place, and it took him a long time to react. Looking at the beautiful figure in the white dress leaving, his face became uglier and uglier. It's just that talent is taller than me, why are you so arrogant? Snort. Since you insist on not leaving, then don't blame me for using other means. Chapter 8. Cultivation Tower. Deep in the 8th floor. Luo Qinghuan found a place. So yet, what should I do next? Just sit cross-legged, practice the exercises, and absorb the spirit qi wantonly. Su Yi's voice sounded in her mind. Then, as if he was afraid that the girl would think too much, he said, don't worry about whether it will cause trouble to others. In the matter of cultivation, it is the law of the jungle. If you don't fight, others will snatch it from you. Hear Su Yi's great Dao. Luo Qinghuan nodded thoughtfully. Immediately. It is to practice the exercises. Soon, a holy white light appeared around his body. Etc. Girl Luo, what kind of skill is this? Watching Luo Qinghuan practicing his skills, Su Ye frowned. It's the Saintess King Zhenju of Swanyan Saint Church. Luo Qinghuan replied honestly. Saintess's heart purification technique. Su Yi's brows furrowed even more tightly. He could clearly sense that when Luo Qinghuan practiced this technique, the dazzling white light on her body became even stronger. This original aura was the same as the aura of her innate pure sacred body. If Luo Qinghuan continues to practice this technique, the restraint of the innate sacred body on her will become stronger. Is this a coincidence? Or is someone secretly plotting to deliberately lead Luo Qinghuan in the direction he wants? So yet, what's wrong? Luo Qinghuan's playful voice sounded. It's okay, you can fix this later. Su Ye retracted his suspicion and shook his head. Then without any hesitation, he waved his hand, and a set of exercises automatically appeared in Luo Qinghuan's mind. Is this heaven-swallowing demon technique? Looking at the rows of pitch-black words that made up the technique, Luo Qinghuan raised her eyes and looked at it curiously. When she saw the technique introduction, a pale look flashed across her face, such a powerful and brutal magic technique. Repair. Su Ye didn't say much, just asked lightly. The choice was given to Luo Qinghuan. Whether she becomes an empress who saves the world but is exploited by others, or a female devil feared by the world, it all depends on the choice of this girl. Build. Luo Qinghuan hesitated for a moment, then gritted his teeth and nodded heavily. Okay. Su Ye nodded with satisfaction and continued to give instructions. Close your eyes and concentrate. I will transmit the skills to you. As his voice fell, Luo Qinghuan clearly felt that the originally obscure text had become easy to understand at this moment. This made her sigh even more. Although Su Ye is a bad guy, his methods are comparable to those of the sky. Luo Qinghuan has mastered the heaven-swallowing demon technique. The great Dao Saint Master has activated. Luo Qinghuan uses the original energy of the heaven-swallowing demon technique to feed back 100 times the critical strike to the host. In Su Yi's mind, the system voice sounded. 100 times the critical hit will pay off. Su Ye smiled. In this way, while Luo Qinghuan becomes stronger, he will become even stronger. The host's black investment was successful. Congratulations to the host for receiving the reward, Immortal Soul Technique. Immortal Soul Technique. I heard the system voice ringing in my mind again. Su Ye couldn't help but be stunned for a moment. Then he immediately looked up the introduction of the Immortal Soul Technique. Devouring souls to strengthen one's own soul. See this? His eyes gradually lit up. There are two ways for him to become stronger now. One is for Luo Qinghuan to improve his cultivation, so that he can get critical hit feedback. The second is this immortal soul art, because he is now a soul body and cannot absorb spirit qi, so naturally he cannot improve his cultivation. But if you have the immortal soul technique, you can practice it actively. With the doubling of strength, he will only become stronger. Alright. Let's start practicing. Putting away the immortal soul technique, Suye said. Luo Qinghuan nodded slightly, then sat cross-legged, her hair hanging down from her shoulders and scattered over her delicate body. As the heaven-swallowing demon technique activated the 8th level of spirit chi, it began to surge in. At the same time, the other side of the 8th floor, Lin Yu took out a pill with a fierce look in his eyes. Call. As long as I swallow this pill, it will speed up my absorption of spirit chi 5 times. Snort. Luo Qinghuan, don't blame me for being ruthless. When I become the saint child of the sect, I will make you my concubine. Thinking of Luo Qinghuan's stunning face and perfect figure, Lin Yu's eyes became more and more passionate, and he swallowed the pill without any hesitation. The next moment, he could clearly feel that his perception and absorption of spirit chi had become much stronger. Immediately, Lin Yu practiced his skills and began to greedily absorb the spirit chi of the 8th level. But at this moment, boom! It burst out with a terrifying suction force. The spirit chi of the 8th level disappeared without a trace in the blink of an eye, like a dried-up river, without a drop left. Lin Yu and the disciples who were practicing on the 8th level opened their eyes in confusion. He looked in astonishment in the direction where the terrifying suction force came from. Just see! A graceful figure in a white dress sat cross-legged. That is Senior Sister Luo. Just as Suye led Luo Qinghuan into the training tower for training, Taiyin perfected being had already brought Menger, whose head was beaten into a pig, to a cave mansion with its door tightly closed. Elder Tianyanzi. I am here to ask for a meeting with Menger. Menger, soon. An old woman's voice sounded in the cave mansion. Her voice was very harsh, like the friction of sawing a tree. My precious great-granddaughter is not such a pig. Grandma, I really am Menger. Menger felt aggrieved and almost cried again. What? Are you really Menger? Boom! The door to the cave mansion opens. A skinny old woman appeared out of nowhere in front of the two of them. When she saw Zuta Menger, her face suddenly changed, and a flash of anger appeared in her skull-like eyes. Who is it? How dare you beat my precious great-granddaughter like this? Woo woo woo! Grandma, you have to make the decision for Menger. Menger immediately started crying. Luo Qinghuan's evil deeds were exaggerated. Snort. You mean, Luo Qinghuan has a 1,000-year-old holy medicine, and she clearly knows that you are in the important stage of shaping your root bone, and this 1,000-year-old holy medicine is obviously useless to her, but she would rather waste it than help you? And she humiliated you and beat you. No morality, no love. Don't you even have this much love in your heart? Doesn't she know that helping her fellow junior sister is also the same as helping herself? This really pisses me off. Taiyin. How do you teach your disciples? Besides, as the master of the two, why don't you support Menger? Tianyin's eyes were filled with anger. He stared at the trembling Taiyin perfected being and scolded him. Hearing this, Taiyin perfected being's old face flushed red and he explained hurriedly. Elder Tianyanzi, please calm down. I didn't know that the traitor would be so arrogant and unreasonable, and had no sense of etiquette. I don't usually teach her this way. As for supporting Menger, I am only at the Saint Emperor level, and that traitor is already at the Venerable realm. I am physically and mentally strong but not strong enough. Besides, she has severed the master-disciple relationship with me. What? Sever the master-disciple relationship? Okay. She has no humility at all and doesn't know how to respect her teacher. She is really the opposite of him. Hearing this, Tianyanzi couldn't help but laugh out of anger. Lunar. Go, bring that BCH here. I will teach her a lesson. Yes. Elder Tianyanzi. Taiyin perfected being nodded quickly. Hearing that the great-grandmother wanted to support her, Menger's eyes flashed with joy, and she immediately hugged the old woman's arm that looked like a skeleton and acted coquettishly, Grandma, that Luo Qinghuan's 1,000-year-old holy medicine. Of course I'm going to apologize to my precious great-granddaughter. Tianyanzi rubbed Menger's pig head lovingly, and then sneered. No. Wrong. How can one plant be enough? At least 10 plants. Thank you, Grandma. The joy in Menger's eyes became even brighter. Elder Tianyanzi, that traitor has now reached the venerable realm and is very powerful. Taiyin perfected being frowned. It's just the venerable realm. I am still afraid of her. Tianyanzi snorted coldly and waved his sleeves, and the aura of a powerful man in the creation realm swept over. Why don't you bring that BCH over to make amends to my precious great-granddaughter? Yes. Chapter 9. Cultivation Tower. Lin Yu and other disciples of Xuanyan Holy Sect looked at the graceful figure in white skirt sitting cross-legged in amazement. In just a few dozen minutes, the spirit chi of the entire 8th floor had dried up. That is Senior Sister Luo. Is Senior Sister Luo talent really that terrifying? She absorbed the entire 8th level of spirit chi in less than a few dozen minutes. This. For a while, the disciples on the 8th floor looked at each other in bewilderment. Although Luo Qinghuan rarely comes to the 8th floor, it is not that he has never been here. In the past, they would just absorb a little bit of spirit chi and then leave. But how can we drain the 8th layer directly now? At this moment, the most confused person was Lin Yu. He had spent a huge price to get that pill, and he had intended to take it when he broke through Saint Emperor in one fell swoop. But now it's different. The elixir was wasted, and there was no hope of reaching the Saint Emperor realm. Boom. Now, as the huge amount of spirit chi poured into her body, Luo Qinghuan's aura continued to rise. Luo Qinghuan has broken through to the venerable realm 3 stars. Congratulations to the host for receiving 100 times the critical strike feedback. The host's soul strength has been improved. Accompany in mind. The system prompts continued to sound. Suya could fully feel the continuous improvement of his soul strength. In the blink of an eye, he soared from the initial martial artist realm, forged the spirit sea, built the soul palace, obtained the divine ability, broke through the Saint Emperor and Heavenly Venerable, and only stopped his soaring aura when he reached the creation realm. This is the realm of creation. Suya raised his eyebrows, a little surprised. I didn't expect it to be so easy to gain strength. It took him a lot of effort to break through the realm of creation in his previous life. He could hardly wait for the day when he could completely transform into the evil Luo Qinghuan and reshape his body. If that day really comes, what kind of terrifying existence will he become? When the host takes over Luo Qinghuan's body, he can choose to use his strength or his own strength, but remember that when the host chooses to use his own strength, he must ensure that it is within the range that Luo Qinghuan's current body can bear. At this time, the system reminded again. Oh. Is that so? That's fine. Suya nodded slightly. At least he has this trump card. Suya, I broke through, and I broke through 2 small realms in one go. Is this too fast? At this time, the girl's voice sounded a little nervous but mixed with excitement. Quick. Suya said unhappily. With your brother Ye here, your cultivation speed will only be faster in the future. Alright. Leave first. Luo Qinghuan nodded slightly and stood up. Just as she was about to leave the 8th floor, the disciples who were in a state of confusion and shock finally reacted. Hiss. Senior Sister Luo's talent is so strong. This is the first time I've seen a disciple absorb so much spirit chi from the 8th level in such a short time. The disciples of Xuanyan Holy Sect were terrified. But Senior Sister Luo has absorbed everything. What should we absorb? Just as everyone was shocked, a weak voice suddenly sounded. As soon as these words came out, the disciples of Xuanyan Holy Sect also looked at each other in bewilderment. Yes. She absorbed it. What do we absorb? Luo Qinghuan. You are so selfish. You have absorbed the 8th level of spirit chi. How can you let your fellow disciples practice? Just at this moment, Lin Yu's eyes turned fierce, and he jumped out, pointing at Luo Qinghuan and scolding him. Yes. Sister Luo, although you are strong, you should at least consider your fellow disciples. You absorbed it all by yourself. So what should we do? Senior Sister Luo, people shouldn't be, at least not so selfish. Around. All the disciples of Xuanyan Holy Sect seemed to have found their backbone and echoed the sentiment. But I didn't stop you from absorbing spirit chi. You didn't absorb it, does that mean you don't want to absorb it? Facing the crowd attacking him, Luo Qinghuan bit his silver teeth and asked weakly. As soon as these words came out, Lin Yu and the others' faces suddenly turned extremely dark. Puff. Suya held back her laughter. Even though this girl wasn't good at talking, her words seemed to carry real hurt and directly broke their defense. Of course they want to absorb it. But given his qualifications, he couldn't compete with Luo Qinghuan at all. Isn't it just a disguised admission that you are not as good as Luo Qinghuan? This. I don't care. Luo Qinghuan, you have to compensate me and my fellow disciples for our losses. Putting aside the facts, are you Luo Qinghuan not at all wrong? Lin Yu was forced into a panic. That's right. Senior Sister Luo has to compensate us. We've all heard that Senior Sister Luo often goes to Kunlun Mirror for training. She must have a lot of holy medicine, right? Why not give us a few? It can be considered as making up for Senior Sister Luo stealing our spirit chi. The disciples around echoed. You. Luo Qinghuan was stunned, and suddenly thought of what Suya said before, that if you meet shameless people, you don't need to pay attention to them, just tell them to get lost. Then. She changed the subject. I managed to utter this weakly. Roll. Lin Yu and the others were stunned and had not yet come to their senses. Girl Luo, this tone of voice is not very lethal. Hearing this, Luo Qinghuan took a deep breath and tried to make herself become like the state when Suya controlled her body, but she found that no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't find that indifferent feeling. Yes, suddenly. She seemed to have thought of something, and a light flashed in her beautiful eyes. Junior Sister Luo, you just said. At this time, Lin Yu came back to his senses. But the words hadn't been spoken yet. The girl's weak voice sounded again. Roll. However, as this weak voice sounded, an incomparably terrifying aura burst out from her delicate body. Hiss. When the aura of the heavenly venerable strong man burst out, Lin Yu and others were instantly shocked and their faces changed drastically, and cold sweat broke out. The girl's character was so weak that they forgot the fact that she was heavenly venerable. Sister Luo. Senior Sister Luo, calm down. We were just joking. The training tower does not have any regulations on how much spirit chi a disciple can absorb. It is up to the best of the best. Senior Sister Luo can absorb as much as she wants. Cough. Junior Sister Luo, Senior Brother Lin was just joking with you. Lin Yu and others hurriedly explained. Why don't you just get out of here? Go away, we'll go away right away. Although the girl's tone was still gentle, under the suppression of the terrifying aura of the heavenly venerable strong man, they didn't care so much at all. They immediately left the 8th floor in panic and crawled away. Seeing this scene, Suya smiled with satisfaction. Good. The girl in Luo is a teachable child. No one cares what your tone is. You just need to use your strength to suppress them harshly. Chapter 10. After Lin Yu and the disciples of Xuanyan Holy Sect fled away from the 8th floor in a panic, the girl's terrifying aura slowly dissipated. At this moment, Luo Qinghuan's pretty face was extremely rosy and instantly adorable. Her heart was pounding, and she felt a little nervous and uneasy, as if she was a good girl doing something bad for the first time. Luo girl, how do you feel? In my mind. Suya asked with a chuckle. I don't know. Luo Qinghuan shook her head slightly, her pretty face full of seriousness, and clenched her little fists. But this feeling is amazing. It's obviously my first time doing this, but it's like deep down I've been looking forward to doing this. When the good girl gets rid of the guilt and tension of doing something bad for the first time, what awaits her is the devil's style of behavior. It seems Luo Qinghuan really has the potential to be a female devil. Suya nodded secretly. All right. Suya whispered to Luo Qinghuan. Let's leave too. Luo Qinghuan nodded slightly, turned around and walked out of the 8th floor. When she walked out of the training tower, Elder Yan looked over and asked in confusion, Hey! Qinghuan girl, did something happen on the 8th floor? Lin Yu and his group have all left the 8th floor, and even you have come out. Hearing this, Luo Qinghuan's pretty face turned red as if she felt guilty. After a long while, she whispered, I have absorbed all the spirit chi on the 8th floor. There is no spirit chi left on the 8th floor, so I came down from the 8th floor. As soon as these words came out, not only was Elder Yan stunned, but even the disciples of Xuanyan Holy Sect passing by were also stunned. Everyone looked at Luo Qinghuan with shock and astonishment. What? Elder Yan's mouth trembled as he looked at the girl in front of him in astonishment. Luo girl, you have absorbed all the 8th level of spirit qi. Yet. The girl nodded crisply. Hiss. As soon as these words came out, there was a sudden sound of people gasping for air all around. Senior Sister Luo is so fierce. The higher you go in the training tower, the denser the spirit qi becomes. It's enough for dozens of prodigy disciples to absorb and practice together. But Senior Sister Luo absorbed all the spirit qi on the 8th floor by herself. Hiss. This is unprecedented among all the prodigy in the Swanyan Holy Sect. Senior Sister Luo is so strong. The disciples of Swanyan Holy Sect were discussing the matter. Is it necessary for these guys to be so shocked? Isn't it easy with your brother Ye absorbing one layer of spirit qi? Come, girl Luo. Let your brother Ye tell you about those glorious deeds and give this old guy a little shock. In my mind. Su Ye kept on complaining. It was just one layer of spirit qi. If it were the fierce bandit great emperor, he would have to borrow a little bit of the spirit qi of the entire Swanyan Holy Sect, let alone the 8th floor of the training tower. Elder Yan, I'll leave first. Hearing Su Yi's words, Luo Qinghuan's pretty face turned red, and she quickly said goodbye to Elder Yan. She was afraid that Su Ye, this conspicuous person, would control her body and brag to Elder Yan for 3 days and 3 nights. This girl. I was able to absorb all of the spirit qi of the 8th level in one breath. Looking at Luo Qinghuan's departing back, Elder Yan couldn't help but sigh, as expected of someone favored by the sect master. In the future, he can become a prodigy saintess, or even, an empress. On the way back, Su Ye was still chattering on about the great achievements of his gangster great emperor, which made Luo Qinghuan feel a headache and regretful for leaving. If I had known this earlier, I would have let Elder Yan bear the consequences. Oh! Girl Luo, we have a rare guest in our house. At this moment, Su Ye suddenly stopped chattering and chuckled meaningfully. A rare visitor. Hearing his words, Luo Qinghuan was stunned, then stood on tiptoe and looked up. 2 familiar figures appeared in front of the courtyard. It was Taiyin perfected being and the girl in green dress Menger. When they saw Luo Qinghuan coming back, their eyes lit up, and the former immediately forced a smile and went to greet him. Qinghuan, where have you been? I have been waiting for you for a long time. See this scene. Su Ye couldn't help but frowned, a little worried. Would this girl be fooled and choose to forgive this old guy? Division. Seeing Taiyin perfected being's smiling face, Luo Qinghuan frowned slightly and subconsciously wanted to call him master, but then she thought of Su Yi's words, and immediately reacted, trying to make her voice colder. There was a hint of alienation on her pretty face. Elder Taiyin, I wonder why you came to my courtyard. Hearing Luo Qinghuan addressing him, the smile on Taiyin perfected being's old face froze, and then he smiled bitterly. Qinghuan, are you still angry with your master? It was my fault before. I shouldn't have ignored you. You should be the one who decides what's yours. Hehe. You've done everything you can, and now you want to turn back. Hearing Taiyin perfected being's words, Su Ye couldn't help but sneer. This old guy is really hypocritical. But he didn't say much. Want to see how Luo Qinghuan will answer. Elder Taiyin, you and I are no longer master and disciple. This is what you suggested. There is no need to address each other as such. Luo Qinghuan shook her head, her pretty face full of seriousness. As soon as these words came out, Taiyin perfected being's face became even stiffer. He suppressed the coldness in his eyes and forced a smile again. Qinghuan, please don't say such angry words. The main reason I brought Menger here today is to apologize to you. After her saying, she immediately winked at Menger who was standing beside her. Then the latter immediately pouted, looking aggrieved, and whispered, Senior Sister Luo, I know I was wrong. It was my fault, so please forgive me. Yes. It just so happened that Elder Tianyinza came out of retreat and learned about this matter, and he also criticized this girl. She even asked me to bring you, Qinghuan, to see her. She wants to apologize to you in person on behalf of Menger. Aside. Taiyin perfected being agreed again and again. Tianyinzi. Su Ye frowned slightly. Tianyinzi is an inner sect elder of my Swanyan Holy Sect. It is said that junior sister Menger is the great-granddaughter of this elder Tianyinzi. Hearing Su Yi's doubts, Luo Qinghuan explained in a low voice in his heart. Oh? It looks like the Hung Men banquet? Su Ye raised his eyebrows and asked Luo Qinghuan, so are you going or not? Chapter 11. No. Luo Qinghuan frowned slightly and shook her head. It is said that Elder Tianyan is very protective of his children. How could he apologize to me in person? Oh. Hear what this girl said. Suya couldn't help but be a little surprised, and felt a little relieved. It seems that Luo Qinghuan is easily kidnapped by morality only because of her innate sacred body, but this does not seem to mean that she is the kind of naive person with no IQ. So you mean not to go? Okay. Luo Qinghuan nodded slightly. Girl Luo, it seems, you haven't figured out the key to the matter yet. Suya showed a sophisticated smile. What's the key? Luo Qinghuan frowned slightly, a hint of doubt appeared in her beautiful eyes. Since you know that Tianyunzi is very protective of her children, it means that she has long been resentful of you. Even if you avoid her today, what about in the future? Who knows if she will secretly trip you up and make things difficult for you? Suya explained. Hearing this, Luo Qinghuan frowned, and felt that what Suya said made some sense. What should we do then? This. Suya smiled mysteriously, I have a kind way. What method? Luo Qinghuan asked curiously. Let her die, and put an end to it all. Luo Qinghuan's beautiful eyes flickered with helplessness. Stinky Suya, is this the kind way you mentioned? You call that kind? Suya smiled without saying anything. To a gangster, this was kindness. Legend has it that Elder Tianyanzi was already at the peak of the heavenly venerable realm before he went into seclusion. Now that he has come out of seclusion, he must have broken through to the creation realm. I am not yet his opponent. Luo Qinghuan shook his head. Good fortune. Oh. With your brother Ye here, what are you afraid of? You just need to leave your body to your brother Ye, hee. Suya said with a chuckle. Hearing his chuckle, Luo Qinghuan subconsciously hugged herself, trembling. Suya, I always feel that my body will be ruined in your hands sooner or later. Ruin. Suya raised his eyebrows, looked at her somewhat ordinary chest, and frowned in disgust. I'm not interested in a child's body like yours. As soon as these words came out, Luo Qinghuan's pretty face quickly became ripe at a speed visible to the naked eye, and even white smoke floated above her head. She said in shame and anger, Pooh. You have the body of a child, who are you looking down on? Besides, I didn't mean to ruin it. Stinky Suya. Obviously. She still cares about Suyi's criticism of her for not having a bear. Or rather, I think every girl cares about this. Seeing this, Suya spread his hands. Is it my fault? Qinghuan, what's wrong with you? At this time, seeing that Luo Qinghuan remained silent for a long time and her pretty face suddenly turned red, Taiyin perfected being couldn't help but feel a little strange. No. I'm fine. Luo Qinghuan quickly came back to his senses, shook his head, cursed Suya in his heart, and then tried to calm himself down. Then, she raised her beautiful eyes and looked at the two of them. Since Elder Tianyanzi has this intention, I can't let her down. Please take me with you. Although Tianyanzi had already reached the realm of creation, for some reason, with Suya around, she felt inexplicably at ease. Then Qinghuan, come with us. Hearing this, a hint of joy flashed in Taiyin perfected being's old eyes, and he couldn't wait to say. Menger, who was standing by, also showed a hint of joy. Snort. I will make her suffer later. Even if I can't kill her. At the very least, her face should be scratched. Then, ask her to find 10,000-year-old holy medicines. Soon, the three of them came to a hidden cave mansion in the Swanyan holy sect. Along the way, Suya discovered that the road led by Taiyin Lao Bidden was sparsely populated, and it was obvious that he did not want to be noticed. Qinghuan. Elder Tianyanzi is waiting for you inside. Menger and I will just wait outside. Taiyin perfected being stopped, forced a smile on his old face, turned around and smiled at Luo Qinghuan who was standing beside him. Senior sister Luo, Menger knows she was wrong. If you meet my great-grandmother later, please say a few good words for me and don't let her punish me. Menger also whispered from the side. Luo Qinghuan ignored her and glanced at the words Tianyan written on cave mansion. She felt a little uneasy and subconsciously called out Suyi's name. Suya. What do you want to call you brother yet? Hearing Suyi's ruffian voice, Luo Qinghuan's anxiety dissipated a lot and he felt a little more at ease. Fine. She shook her head, pushed open the door of cave mansion, and stepped inside. Seeing this scene, the eyes of the two people outside the cave mansion suddenly turned cold. Snort. Luo Qinghuan, I want to see how Grandma will deal with you. When Luo Qinghuan enters the cave mansion. The next moment. Boom. Before she could react, a terrifying pressure swept towards her. The pressure from a powerful person of destiny. Seeing this, spirit chi emerged from Luo Qinghuan's delicate body, and she dodged the terrifying pressure in a flash. Then she frowned slightly and looked forward. Is this how Elder Tianyanzi apologized to me on behalf of junior sister Meng'er? Hehe. As expected of you, a top-ranked prodigy disciple of the Xuanyan holy sect. You were able to dodge my attack with just the venerable realm. Accompanied by a shrill laugh. Only seen in cave mansion. An old woman with a cane walked out slowly. Her eyes fell on Luo Qinghuan and she smiled in a somewhat creepy way. Luo Qinghuan. You have no respect for your elders, and you have no humility towards the younger ones. You have no morals and no love. I haven't taught you a lesson on behalf of the sect yet, and you still want me to apologize to you on behalf of Meng'er? This is ridiculous. Tian Yanzi sneered. Under normal circumstances, Luo Qinghuan might be speechless and at a loss after hearing these words. But after these few days of Su Yi's influence, she wasn't going to sit still and wait for death now. Humble and young heart. Then I am still young to Elder Tianyanzi, so why don't you give me a few thousand-year-old holy medicines? If you don't give them to me, it would be even more unethical and unloving. Stinky Suya said. If you have no morals, no one can kidnap you. If someone morally blackmails me, I will blackmail her in return. You. Tian Yanzi paused. She had never expected that Luo Qinghuan would say that. For a moment, she was speechless. She could only grit her yellow teeth and stare at Luo Qinghuan. A sharp-tongued little girl. Snort. I won't say so much to you. You hurt my precious great-granddaughter. I will teach you a lesson. Tian Yanzi's face looked ugly. Since he couldn't gain the upper hand morally, he could only use his strength. Boom. When the aura of a powerful being emerged from her body, she did not notice that the look in the girl's eyes suddenly changed. Chapter 12. As Tian Yanzi finished speaking, she raised the skeleton cane in her hand high up, countless baleful yin qi condensed on the cane, and then she slammed it heavily to the ground. Boom boom. Moment. Baleful yin qi turned into a fierce air wave and attacked Luo Qinghuan. When I saw the fierce air wave coming, Luo Qinghuan's face was filled with nervousness and seriousness, and her mind went blank. After all, this was her first time fighting a cultivator, and all the martial arts she had learned in the past seemed to be completely forgotten. But when the air wave was close at hand, her body still reacted subconsciously, the spirit chi surged in her delicate body, and she dodged it nimbly with a light tap of her jade feet. Evil snake! Seeing Luo Qinghuan dodging, Tian Yanzi did not intend to give her a chance to breathe. He snorted coldly and smashed his crutch heavily to the ground again. The skull on the crutch immediately opened its mouth, and countless dark white baleful yin qi came out of its mouth and transformed into countless dark bone-like yin evil snakes that flew towards Luo Qinghuan. The evil snake was so disgusting that one could even see maggots crawling on it. See this scene. Luo Qinghuan's face suddenly turned pale. This scene made Luo Qinghuan, a little girl, feel sick even to some male monks. Girl Luo, what are you standing there for? Take out your sword and chop. Just at this moment, Su Yi's unpleasant reminder sounded in her mind. Ah! Oh! Luo Qinghuan reacted immediately. A spiritual light flashed on her jade hand, and a spiritual sword appeared in her hand. Then she started to slash at the attacking evil snake. That's right. He just closed his eyes and slashed wildly with the magic sword. So yet, this girl really has no experience in fighting with others. Is this how you use your venerable realm cultivation? But you can't fight solely based on your physical instincts. That won't work. Whatever. Let him, who was a fierce bandit great emperor in his previous life, teach this girl how to have a satisfying fight. After all, in his previous life, the flower he scattered could temporarily blind the great emperor, or the word-breaking spell that could remove the opponent's armor as soon as they met, were all things that made the great emperors of the heavens tremble with fear. You have no sword skills at all. It's ridiculous. Seeing this scene, Tianyinzi sneered. How could this childish swordsmanship do anything to her yin sha snake? Luo Qinghuan has been detected to have swung his sword, Great Dao Saint Master has been triggered. The heaven and earth sword essence has been integrated into his sword power. The host obtains the Great Dao sword essence counterattack, at the same time. As Luo Qinghuan swung his sword wildly, the system voice suddenly rang out. As the system voice fell, Suya clearly sensed that there was an extra strand of sharp sword intent in his soul, which was the sword essence of the Great Dao of heaven and earth. As long as Luo Qinghuan cultivated sword intent on his own, Suyi's strand of sword intent would continue to be nurtured. Until he gained a physical body. That's not just a wisp of sword intent. It's the Eli sword intent. Is this what it feels like to cheat? It feels so FG good. Suya couldn't help but sigh. This girl is really a blessing to me. The stronger she becomes, the stronger he becomes. It's really a double blessing. The system might as well not be called the blackened female protagonist system, but the dual cultivation system. After all, Luo Qinghuan becomes stronger when she cultivates him. Boom! In an instant. When Luo Qinghuan was nervously wielding the sword and slashing wildly, the sword essence of heaven and earth had already merged into it, setting off a terrifying storm of sword intent. The attacking evil snake was instantly crushed into nothingness before it even got close. What? How could this random sword movement have such a terrifying sword intent? When Tianyinzi saw this scene, his expression suddenly became extremely interesting, and his old eyes were full of astonishment. Ah! Even Luo Qinghuan was a little stunned, with her mouth slightly open. Suya, is that you? But soon. She reacted. Such a terrifying sword force was most likely assisted by Suya secretly. I just helped you comprehend a little bit of the sword essence of heaven and earth. Suyi's voice sounded in her mind. Heaven and earth sword essence. Hearing this, a hint of astonishment flashed across Luo Qinghuan's beautiful eyes. She had heard about the sword essence of heaven and earth from the Lord of Frost Sword Peak. Even a saint lord like the Lord of Frost Sword Peak could not sense the sword essence of heaven and earth. But now, Suya just did it casually and helped her comprehend a bit of the sword essence of heaven and earth? Luo girl, don't panic. Get over your inner tension. At worst, you can just chop this old thing off like a cabbage. Suya said again. At this moment, hearing Suyi's gentle voice, Luo Qinghuan felt inexplicably relieved, and even the tension dissipated a lot then. She took a deep breath, and gradually dispelled the blankness in her mind caused by nervousness. She slowly recalled the sword moves she had learned. Her hand holding the sword no longer trembled as much, and a sharp sword intent gradually emerged from her delicate body. What's wrong with this girl? You were so nervous when you were holding the sword just now, why don't you feel nervous at all now? Besides, this trace of sword intent on her body, could this be the sword intent of heaven and earth? Seeing Luo Qinghuan's changes, Tianyinzi frowned. When she felt the sharp sword intent on her delicate body, her face suddenly changed, but she calmed down immediately. Impossible. This little girl is only heavenly venerable, how can she possibly comprehend the essence of heaven and earth sword? That's all. I underestimated you just now, but that's all. Immediately. Tianyinzi didn't think any more, picked up the skeleton crutch, took a step forward, and instantly appeared in front of Luo Qinghuan. The aura of good fortune emerged, and the crutch in his hand smashed down heavily. Seeing Tianyinzi suddenly appear in front of him, Luo Qinghuan subconsciously felt his heart tighten. Don't panic, girl Luo. Think about what your brother Ye just said. Suyi's voice sounded at the same time. What did you just say? Luo Qinghuan was startled, then thought of what Suya had just said, and quickly clenched the spirit sword in his hand, circulated the sword, and shouted tenderly, Bye! Bye Cai, die! Suya! Tianyinzi! Chinese cabbage! What cabbage? Tianyinzi was stunned. But in a flash, Luo Qinghuan raised her sword, bringing with it the sword energy of heaven and earth, which landed heavily on her skeleton crutch. Just as she was stunned, there was a cracking sound. The skeleton cane actually broke into 2 pieces. My spirit weapon! Tianyinzi's face changed drastically. Then he looked grimly at the spiritual sword in Luo Qinghuan's hand, or more precisely, at the sharp sword intent on the sword. The reason why the spirit weapon she carefully crafted could be shattered was not because of the sword, but because of the terrifying sword intent on the sword. This is actually the sword essence of heaven and earth. The venerable realm can instantly realize the essence of the sword of heaven and earth. Talent, if I can take over your body, wouldn't it be possible for me to break through to the Holy Lord realm, and even the Emperor realm, now? Tianyun's eyes were full of greed and murderous intent. When she saw that Luo Qinghuan's talent was so high, her plan was no longer to simply teach him a lesson, but to take over his body. I heard that Tianyunzi wanted to take over my body. Luo Qinghuan's pretty face turned pale, and she clenched the magic sword in her hand, determined not to let Tianyunzi succeed. There is another Suya inside me. If there were two souls, wouldn't they be noisy to death? Boom! This moment, Tianyunzi's aura of a powerful being was fully unleashed, and he finally stopped holding back and attacked Luo Qinghuan. Facing the violent attack from the powerful creation realm expert, all Luo Qinghuan could do was dodge. All I can say is that the female protagonist is a little weak, and this girl has no combat experience. If it were another protagonist, a person of lower realm would have already fought above their level. But it doesn't matter. There is Su yet. Sooner or later, she will be transformed into a villain who can fight against opponents of higher levels than the male protagonists. Alright. Girl Luo, you did a great job. Next, I'll leave it to you, brother Yet. Just when Luo Qinghuan could no longer hold on, Su Yi's relieved chuckle rang out. It's not that he doesn't take action. Instead, he wanted to make Luo Qinghuan accustomed to fighting. His goal was to change her, not to control her. If he did everything by himself, it would not be of any help to Luo Qinghuan. Hearing Su Yi's voice in her mind, Luo Qinghuan nodded slightly, feeling inexplicably at ease. Then the soft look in her beautiful eyes gradually faded, replaced by a cold look. Old dog! Have you had enough fun? Next, your Aunt Qinghuan will play with you. As the girl's cold and ruffian voice rang out, a breath of good fortune quietly flowed through her delicate body. Chapter 13. When the girl's cold and ruffian voice fell, Tianyunzi was obviously stunned for a moment, frowned, and looked at the girl in the white dress in front of him with a serious expression. The tenderness on the girl's pretty face had disappeared, and her pretty face was full of indifference. It's as if the girl in front of me seemed like a different person. But soon, she shook her head and sneered. You are just being mysterious. You are just a junior from the venerable realm and you think you can make waves in my hands. Bang! However, Tianyunzi's words had not yet completely fallen. Suddenly a shadow appeared in front of her eyes, and the girl's beautiful and indifferent face appeared in front of her. Then she clenched her little pink fist and smashed it hard on Tianyunzi's skinny and ugly face, instantly making it dented. Bang! Tianyunzi's body slammed heavily on the stone wall of cave mansion, and a mouthful of blood spurted out. At the same time, the girl sneered. Heavenly Venerable can't make waves. Oh. It's very simple. Can't I just enter the creation? The words fell. In the place where souls reside, the little soul in the white dress saw this scene, and little stars twinkled in her beautiful eyes. Suya is good. No. He said I don't have a bear, so I can't praise him for being handsome. Snort. Otherwise, this stinky guy will definitely push his luck further. After spending these few days together, she already knew how shameless Suya was. Suya looked at Tianyunzi who was lying on the ground calmly, and the aura of good fortune emerged from his body. He suddenly shouted to the crazy and vengeful little soul in the white dress deep in his soul, Girl Luo. Ah! Luo Qinghuan, who was still muttering to himself, was stunned and raised his head in confusion. Feeling a little guilty. I just cursed Suya secretly, he shouldn't have heard it, right? What? She replied weakly. Seeing this, Suya looked at her guilty look and couldn't help but feel funny, but he didn't care. At most, he could just help her take a good bath next time. Look at how your brother Ye fights. You have too little combat experience. Watch carefully and learn well. Your brother Ye is going to test you. If you don't answer the question, there will be a punishment. Oh. The girl nodded seriously, then took out a small notebook and prepared to take notes. Puff. Tianyunzi fell to the ground and spat out blood again. After being hit by the girl's punch, she was horrified to find that the spirit chi in her body could no longer take shape. Creation. Creation realm. How did your strength suddenly break through to the creation realm? She looked at Luo Qinghuan in disbelief. However, Suya didn't say much. Just a flash of light appeared in his hand, and a magic sword appeared in his hand and walked towards Tianyinzi. What do you want to do? Seeing Luo Qinghuan suddenly draw out the spirit sword and walk towards her, Tianyinzi's face changed drastically, and a hint of fear finally appeared in his eyes. He quickly threatened, Luo Qinghuan, are you crazy? I am an inner sect elder of Swanyan Holy Sect. You dare to kill me? However, the words fell. Suya ignored her, and the sword intent gradually emerged on the spirit sword in his hand. You, Qinghuan, I was wrong in this matter. Please forgive me. I will definitely teach that girl Meng Er a lesson. Seeing the sword energy of heaven and earth constantly emerging on the delicate body of the girl in front of him, the fear in Tianyin's eyes became even greater. He changed his expression again and begged for mercy. Does she know she was wrong now? Luo Qinghuan frowned slightly. No. She just knew she was dying. Suya shook his head slightly, and directly activated the frost sword technique that Luo Qinghuan had mastered. As the sword intent emerged in his hand, frost covered the sword. Then, with a cold light shining on the 9 provinces, he slashed towards Tianyinzi. Luo Qinghuan. You really dare to kill me? See this scene. Tianyinzi was shocked and terrified. He made up his mind and mobilized all his creative energy, trying to escape into the sky. However, the next moment, Tianyin's face was suddenly filled with despair. Because I don't know when. The frost even froze the surrounding space. She had no way to escape. Die. The girl's whisper sounded like the sentence of death. Frost sword intent falls. In an instant, Tianyin's body was pierced, and his vitality began to dissipate at this moment. One sword, killed in seconds. In the soul space. Seeing this scene, Luo Qinghuan widened her beautiful eyes and then pouted her lips. Stinky Suyat. It was killed in one sword. What is there for me to learn? He also said he would take an exam. It must be intentional. Girl Luo, your brother Ye is awesome, right? Have you learned it? Suya said with a smile. Stinky Suyat, you defeated me in one move, what do you want me to learn? Luo Qinghuan pouted and said unhappily. You don't understand this. Suya smiled and shook his head and asked. What's the purpose of fighting others? Win. Luo Qinghuan blinked her beautiful eyes and said tentatively. Wrong. It's to kill her. Suya shook his head. Pa, vulgar. Luo Qinghuan spat at him quietly. Suya smiled indifferently and continued, the purpose of those 100 or even 10,000 moves is to kill her. Why don't I just keep it simple, skip the complicated steps, and kill her with one sword? Hearing Suyi's words, Luo Qinghuan thought about it seriously. Stinky Suyi's words. It seems to make some sense. But it's easy as you say, but it's not that easy to do. Luo Qinghuan said unhappily. In a battle between cultivators of the same realm, it is basically difficult to determine the winner unless they fight for hundreds of rounds. There is basically no one like Suya who can kill a cultivator of the same realm in 1 second with just one sword. No. Just because others can't do it doesn't mean you can't do it. However, Suyi's words were extremely firm. As soon as these words came out, Luo Qinghuan stood there in a daze, her face flushed. She didn't expect that the stinky Suya actually believed her so much. Hey. So, in your eyes, I am so strong. She felt a little proud in her heart and couldn't help but smile foolishly. Seeing her slightly smug look, Suya couldn't help but joked, it's not that, it's because your brother Ye is here, haha. Luo Qinghuan. A moment. A blush quickly appeared on the girl's pretty face at a speed visible to the naked eye, and a wisp of steam rose from her head. Action diagram, web diagram, smelly. Su. Night. It took a long time. The little soul in the white dress patted her chest and calmed down. She took a look at the tragic body of Tianyinzi lying on the ground. Her face turned pale and she asked in a low voice, what should we do with Elder Tianyinzi's body? Or should we bury him? Buried. Suya one sigh. This girl is really too kind. After killing her, you have to bury her thoughtfully. Need not. The best is yet to come. Suya shook his head, a slight smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, then he looked outside the cave mansion and turned to walk out of the cave. Mansion. Chapter 14. Outside cave mansion. Taiyin perfected being and Menger had no idea what was happening inside, because Tianyanzi had already set up the law treasure to isolate the aura in Cave Mansion in order to deal with Luo Qinghuan. What a pity. This will only hurt yourself more. It's been almost 10 minutes. Hasn't Grandma caught that BCH yet? Menger frowned. She couldn't wait to use the embroidery needle to scratch that BCH Luo Qinghuan's face bit by bit. Who made her look prettier than me? Could it be that even Elder Tianyanzi, who is at the creation realm, can't take down that traitor? Taiyin perfected being looked a little unhappy. Now Luo Qinghuan has severed their master-disciple relationship. The more powerful Luo Qinghuan becomes, the more uncomfortable she feels and the more regretful she feels. But that traitor is not good at fighting, so it should be soon. Taiyin perfected being comforted herself in her heart. Just at this moment. Boom! The door to the cave mansion opens. The two of them looked delighted, their eyes lit up, and they spoke in unison. Grandma, take that BCH. Elder Tianyanzi, you have captured the rebel. However, the words haven't finished yet. The two of them stopped talking and their expressions froze in an instant. Because the person standing in front of him was the girl in white dress and with a beautiful face. At this moment, she was intact and there was no trace of battle left, as if nothing had happened. Well. Sister Luo. Senior Sister Luo, why did you come out? Didn't grandmother, didn't she see you? See Luo Qinghuan appear. Menger quickly changed her words, fearing that she would be heard by him. After all, as a mere monk from the Spirit Sea realm, she would not dare to be so rude to Luo Qinghuan. If it were in the past, she would still take advantage of Luo Qinghuan's weak character and put on a bad face. But until a few days ago when the girl rewarded her with a few big bags, she immediately became obedient. Yes, Qinghuan. Didn't Elder Tianyanzi see you? Aside. Taiyin perfected being also quickly echoed. The two couldn't figure it out. Didn't Tianyanzi say that he would teach Luo Qinghuan a lesson? But why? Is she okay? Now. The girl in the white dress looked at the two with a cold look in her eyes, but she had a sweet smile on her pretty face. Elder Tianyanzi just came out of seclusion and ordered me to come out and call you to go in and see her together. Oh. Hearing this, the two of them breathed a sigh of relief. It turns out that Tianyanzi hasn't taken action against this BCH yet. But the grandmother was really kind and asked them to come along to torture him together. So that's how it is. Haha, then Qinghuan, you go in first, and Menger and I will follow soon. Taiyin perfected being smiled, then saw Luo Qinghuan turn around, followed him and winked at Menger, signaling her to close the door of Cave Mansion to prevent Luo Qinghuan from running away. I heard a door closing behind me. Suya walked in front with a smile on his face. I can't help but sigh. People nowadays are so nice. Afraid that he would not be able to die, he thoughtfully closed the door to himself. Qinghuan, where is Elder Tianyanzi? Taiyin perfected being and Menger caught up and asked with a smile. What about that? Suya pointed to the small courtyard in front. The two were stunned. Look forward. In the small courtyard, Tianyanzi was lying peacefully on the ground, apparently deader than dead. What? Elder Tianyanzi. Grandma. When they saw Tianyanzi's body, their faces changed drastically and their eyes were filled with disbelief. Didn't Tianyanzi say that he would try to teach Luo Qinghuan a lesson? How come he died all of a sudden just by trying it? Qinghuan. This, what is going on? Why did Elder Tianyanzi pass away? This moment. Taiyin perfected being had difficulty speaking. He turned around and looked at the girl with a trembling body, who always had a smile on her lips. A strong sense of uneasiness arose in her heart. I killed him. However, the girl just smiled and nodded slightly. Hiss. What? As soon as these words came out, Taiyin perfected being's face changed drastically, his old eyes were filled with fear, and he forced a smile and forced himself to remain calm. Ha. Qinghuan, don't joke with me. You are in the venerable realm while Elder Tianyanzi is in the creation realm. How can you kill her? Luo Qinghuan. You BCH. How dare you kill my grandmother? If the sect knew about this, they would not let you, ABCH, go. At this moment, before Suya could answer, Menger's trembling and angry voice rang out, her body trembling, pointing at the girl in front of her. However, she hadn't finished her words yet. Noisy. Hearing her calling her ABCH, Suya frowned, raised his hand and slashed Menger's body in half with a sword. Ah! See this scene? In the place where souls are contained, the soul in the little white dress let out a cry, its little face turned pale, and it subconsciously covered its eyes. Suya, why did you kill junior sister Menger directly? After a while, Luo Qinghuan's weak voice sounded. She didn't mean to blame Suya. But I didn't expect that Suya would be so decisive in killing and would take action at the slightest disagreement. She keeps calling you ABCH, but you're not ABCH. Suya said lightly. Luo Qinghuan was stunned. She didn't know why she felt warm in her heart even though it was just an ordinary sentence. Like. No one has ever defended her like this. Pure joy. You, what are you doing? Menger is your junior sister. When Taiyin perfected being reacted, he was so frightened that he looked at Luo Qinghuan with fear in his eyes. However, the girl raised her cold eyes and just looked at her lightly. Suddenly Taiyin perfected being's body trembled continuously. She had never seen such a look in Luo Qinghuan's eyes before. It was an extremely indifferent look, without any emotion at all, as if she could die with just one glance. Qinghuan, this is all a conspiracy between Meng Er and Tianyan Zi. It has nothing to do with me. We are master and disciple after all. If you let me go, I will never tell anyone about this. Taiyin perfected being thought that Tianyan's conspiracy was exposed, so he begged for mercy. Girl Luo, I'll leave this old dog to you. Suya ignored Taiyin perfected being's plea for mercy, and just spoke to the little white dress soul deep in her soul. As the words fell, Suya didn't give the girl any chance to react and directly returned control of her body to her. Some things. This girl must take the first step. If he wanted to break the shackles of Innate's pure sacred body, he could only play a guiding role. The one who could truly break the shackles still needed to be Luo Qinghuan himself. Ah! The indifference in the girl's eyes turned into confusion in an instant. I'll do it. Looking at Taiyin perfected being kneeling on the ground, Luo Qinghuan felt very complicated. After all, no matter what, the person kneeling in front of her was once her master. When Taiyin perfected being saw that the girl seemed to be in hesitation, he thought he had grasped a life-saving straw and quickly added, although you and I are no longer master and disciple, Qinghuan, think about how I treated you in the past. How did you treat this girl? Hearing this, Suya, who was watching the show, couldn't help but look a little strange. He had already read through Luo Qinghuan's memories. How did Taiyin perfected being treat her? Tisk tisk. Didn't this old dog walk into the trap himself? But it's okay this way. Now. Hearing Taiyin perfected being's words, Luo Qinghuan was stunned, and a hint of memories flashed in her beautiful eyes. Soon. She just laughed at herself. How did you treat me? I had an argument with my fellow senior brother, and it was clearly his fault, but you only scolded me and asked me to apologize to him without considering my feelings at all. When I was younger, I was asked to give cultivation resources to my senior brothers and sisters. When I became a senior sister, I was asked to give way to my junior sisters. Even if other junior sisters make mistakes 100 times, you will patiently correct them. And I just made a mistake once, and you blamed and beat me in every way. All I hear from you is blame, not a single word of praise. Listening to Luo Qinghuan's words, Taiyin perfected being's expression became more and more stiff. Snap! Inadvertently, Suya seemed to hear a subtle sound of shackles breaking. The girl slowly lowered her head, her body shaking uncontrollably at this moment, as if venting years of grievances. She murmured softly. I really? Is it that bad? Chapter 15. When I heard the girl's murmur, Suya couldn't help but sigh. After reading all of this girl's memories, he felt even more distressed for her. It was a pity that he could only comfort her with words and couldn't give her a good hug. Then, he said seriously. Girl Luo. You don't have to deny yourself. Your value is always given by yourself, not judged by others. You're actually pretty good. Hearing Suyi's extremely serious voice in his mind, Luo Qinghuan was stunned, and his eyes seemed to be misty. My own value is always given by myself, right? It was the first time she heard such words. For a moment, my heart was filled with extremely complicated emotions. Taiyin perfected being's expression became more and more rigid, and he managed a smile. This. Qinghuan, you don't understand. I am teaching you that only those who endure hardships can become superior people. Hearing this, Suya couldn't help but sneer. It is true that only those who endure the most hardships can become the best. But it doesn't mean you have to endure it without suffering. With Luo girl's terrifying and amazing cultural talent, no one would say anything even if she had all the resources. This is what she deserves. She is the bright moon in the sky, why let her be contaminated by the mundane world? Why bother to prove that the mortal world cannot cover up the brightness of the moon? Taiyin perfected being just knows the weakness of this girl's innate, pure, sacred body and kindness, so he wants to take advantage of her, control her and prevent her from escaping his control. Luo Qinghuan came back to his senses and ignored Taiyin perfected being, but whispered to Suya with red eyes. Suya, thank you. Who are we talking to? Say thank you to your brother yet? Do you want to be spanked? Suya looked annoyed and glared at the girl. Don't say thank you next time. Luo Qinghuan burst into laughter. She knew that Suya had a sharp tongue but a soft heart, and it was the first time she felt warmth from someone else. This feeling. That's great. Oh. I know. Luo Qinghuan stuck out her tongue playfully. Qinghuan ah. Pure joy. Just consider that we are master and disciple, so please forgive me. I promise not to tell anyone about what happened today. At this time, Taiyin perfected being saw that Luo Qinghuan was slow to speak, and his fear reached its peak. At this time, Luo Qinghuan's beautiful eyes fell on Taiyin perfected being. She shook her head slightly, and the frost-covered spirit sword in her hand slowly dissipated. Her tone was unexpectedly calm. You go now. Really? Qinghuan, thank you. Upon hearing this, Taiyin perfected being's eyes immediately flashed with joy, and then he rushed out of the cave mansion as if escaping. Seeing this scene, Suya frowned slightly. But before he could say anything, suddenly, the surrounding temperature gradually dropped. Faintly, a hint of frost appeared. Taiyin perfected being in front was only concerned with running away and had no time to care about this. Looking at the gate of cave mansion that was so close, the joy in her old eyes became more and more intense, and she couldn't help but sneer in her heart. Snort! Good for you, Luo Qinghuan! How dare you harm your fellow disciples? When I escape, I will make sure you die without a burial place. However, just as she was cursing in her heart, click! Click, click! The temperature around her dropped suddenly, an array of frost sword intent suddenly emerged from behind her. The next moment, sword intent pierced through the body, and life force gradually dissipated at this moment. No. Taiyin perfected being turned around in disbelief, looking at the weak girl in the white dress. She never thought that Luo Qinghuan would actually kill her. Watching the vitality of Taiyin perfected being fade away, misty eyes appeared in Luo Qinghuan's beautiful eyes, her delicate body trembled, and crystal tears kept falling. Her feelings towards Taiyin perfected being are complicated. She feels gratitude for his nurturing but also hatred for his disrespect as a teacher. But more than that, she wants to vent her grievances at this moment. The first sword of the blackening is to kill the foolish master first. If it weren't for the ruthlessness of Taiyin perfected being, how could she be so heartless? Looking at the sobbing girl, Suya sighed, but he could only watch her cry without being able to do anything, not even give her the simplest hug. Suya, I don't have a master anymore. The girl cried quietly. It's okay, you still have your brother Ye now. Suyi's tone was extremely gentle, without the usual ruffian tone. I don't have any relatives either. It's okay, you still have your brother yet. I. Fine. Just like that, the girl cried out her grievances, and Suya comforted her softly. A long time passed. Luo Qinghuan finally calmed down the complicated emotions in his heart. Not crying anymore? Suya asked with a chuckle. Stop crying. Luo Qinghuan shook his head. Your brother Ye just drew a picture of your tearful face. If you cry again next time, I'll expose your face. Suya said jokingly with a smile, trying to ease the atmosphere. You. The girl gritted her teeth and pouted her lips. After. I won't cry. Really? Suya laughed. At the same time, in my mind, the system sound rang again. Luo Qinghuan completes a black transformation, reward, a firm heart of Taoism, no morality in the heart, will not be kidnapped by morality, draw the sword and become a natural god. Do you want to invest? Invest. Suya did not hesitate. The host has completed the black investment, congratulations to the host for obtaining, Great Emperor's one-hit *3. Great Emperor hit card, after using, your strength will be temporarily increased to the Emperor realm, allowing you to deliver a powerful hit. Can be used 3 times. Great Emperor one-hit card. Hearing this, Suya narrowed his eyes slightly. He didn't expect the reward this time to be so rich. At least he had a trump card that could save his life. Immediately, he carefully put away the reward, and then seemed to think of something. Oh, girl, don't let go of the bodies of the 3 of them, use the heaven-swallowing demon technique to swallow up their cultivation essences. Luo Qinghuan nodded lightly, and then activated the heaven-swallowing demon technique to devour the cultivation essence of the 3 people. And Suya watched quietly in the soul space. From his perspective, although Luo Qinghuan's delicate body was still enveloped by the holy white light of Innate's pure sacred body, there was already a striking black in the white light. Presumably, it won't take much time to break these shackles. He immediately looked away. While Luo Qinghuan was devouring the origin of cultivation, he activated the immortal soul technique and devoured the souls of the 3 people at the same time. As the saying goes, when men and women work together, the work becomes less tiring. However, when this sentence was applied to the 2 of them, it became a combination of man and woman, killing without leaving any chance of survival. Luo Qinghuan devoured the source of cultivation, while he devoured the soul. It can be said that they were deader than dead. The host devoured the soul, and the soul power realm has been raised to the 2nd star of the creation realm. And at this time, Luo Qinghuan also devoured all the cultivation essences of the 3 people. Luo Qinghuan has devoured the cultivation origin, and the host has obtained 5,000 origin powers. The system voice in my mind kept ringing. The power of origin. Suya one sigh. Soon, the system explained. The power of origin can be transformed into the origin of any energy, such as cultivation, sword intent, alchemy, forging, etc. It can be used to improve it. And the host can choose to use it on himself or Luo Qinghuan. Oh. Then this thing is equivalent to universal experience for all-around upgrades. Suya suddenly realized. That's not bad. And it can also be used by Luo Qinghuan. Then it must be chosen for this girl. After all, if I use it on myself, even if I become stronger, it will be useless if this girl's body can't bear it. But if I give it to Luo Qinghuan, she will become stronger and I will become stronger at the same time, which is simply killing 2 birds with 1 stone. However, this source of cultivation can be kept for the time being in case of emergency. Suya put away the 5,000 points of original power. Soon, a panel emerged. Host, Suya. Soul Realm, Creation Realm 2 stars. Original power, 5,000. Host's host, Luo Qinghuan. Realm of Strength, Venerable Realm. Chapter 16. Suya. I'll devour it. At this time, when Suyi's eyes left the panel, Luo Qinghuan's voice also sounded. Does this need any treatment? What if the sect finds out that it was us who did it? She frowned slightly, and couldn't help but feel a little worried. Although Suya was able to kill Tian Yinzi who was at the creation realm, the Xuanyan Holy Sect had powerful Saint Lord Realm warriors, and the sect master of the Xuanyan Holy Sect was a genuine Saint Lord Realm peak warrior. No problem. Suya shook his head. On the way here, didn't you notice that old dog Taiyin deliberately took us along a path that few people go? It's obvious that they had been planning to do something to you for a long time and were afraid of being discovered. This actually makes things more convenient for us. But some traces still need to be cleaned up. Let Brother Ye handle Luo's matter. Brother Ye is familiar with it. Suya smiled. In his previous life, he was a fierce bandit named Great Emperor. He was very skilled at killing people, burying bodies, and destroying evidence. Luo Qinghuan nodded obediently, and the gentleness in her eyes faded away and turned into a hint of coldness. Soon, Suya skillfully cleaned up all traces and turned to leave. A few days passed. Nothing happened in the past few days, and Suya was very relaxed. He spent every day teaching and teasing Luo Qinghuan, which made Luo Qinghuan's little face red with anger, and she gritted her teeth at Suya. even for several days. I didn't dare to sleep or rest at night, and chose to practice all night long. Because Suya, that stinky bad guy. He actually secretly logged into the account while she was sleeping at night. Is this what they call the soul sleeping but the body not sleeping? When she woke up, she found that she was not lying on the bed, but lying naked in the bathtub, with her little hand on her chest. Suddenly, it made her feel embarrassed and annoyed. And when she questioned the stinky Suya, the shameless guy actually said that he was sleepwalking. She was so mad. Gritting his teeth, he wished he could give Suya a bite. But there was no way I could see this guy at all. And this happened several nights ago. So she was careful and pretended to be asleep to trick Suya into logging in, but she was caught on the spot. Just when she thought Suya had nothing to say, he was not in a hurry, and said leisurely, I am massaging you to make you bigger, Luo girl, you don't want to be laughed at by your brother Ye for the rest of your life because of your flat spine, right? Luo Qinghuan. That moment, the girl's beautiful face became extremely rosy under the moonlight. Stinky Suya. When you come out of me, I will bite you to death. Haha. Then I'll just wait and see. Under the moonlight, the girl's angry voice and Suyi's teasing voice intertwined together. Compared to the joy here, the Xuanyan holy sect was in an uproar. The deaths of Tianyanzi and Taiyin perfected being were discovered by disciples, and soon alarmed the entire Xuanyan holy sect. You must know that Taiyin perfected being is just a small monk at the Saint Emperor level. But Tianyanzi is a powerful person in the realm of creation. How easy is it to kill her? And still silently. I'm afraid that the only one who can achieve this is a powerful person. And when the elders of the law enforcement hall of the Xuanyan holy sect rushed over after hearing the news, they saw that the two people's cultivation source had been devoured by the evil energy, and even their souls had been devoured. This kind of cruel method was obviously not something that a righteous cultivator could use. The death of two people. It is very likely that he offended some powerful demon Dao. For a while, there was panic in the Xuanyan holy sect, and everyone felt in danger. Xuanyan holy religion. In the hall, a group of elders of Xuanyan holy sect gathered here. At this moment, their eyes were all fixed on the beautiful woman sitting on the high seat, wearing a purple cheongsam and with a curvy figure. Their eyes were full of awe. And this woman is the leader of the Xuanyan holy sect, the Xuanyan holy lord. Elder Lin, have you found out the cause of death of Elder Tianyanzi and Elder Taiyin? Sitting on the high seat, Saint Lord Xuanyan opened his red lips slightly, looked at a white-haired old man in the law enforcement hall below, and asked softly. Return to the master. Elder Lin quickly bowed, then slowly said, the cause of death is not yet clear, but we have detected the aura of demon Dao from Elder Tianyanzi and Elder Taiyin. The cultivation sources of both of them were completely devoured. Even the souls were cannibalized. It can be said that the method was very cruel. It doesn't seem like the work of a righteous cultivator. It should be the work of those demon Dao cultivators. Hearing this, inside the main hall, the faces of all the elders changed slightly. Devouring the essence of cultivation and the soul, it can be said that there is no way to survive at all. Cruel. It's absolutely cruel. And the most terrifying thing is that this kind of demon Dao monk had sneaked into their Xuanyan holy sect without anyone knowing when. Devouring the essence, eroding the soul. This is indeed a method that only demon Dao monks have. Xuanyan Saint Lord frowned slightly, and then ordered, in the next few days, let the 8 peak masters thoroughly investigate the 8 peaks, and let the disciples in the sect be on guard, and be careful not to be succeeded by the demon monks again. This matter should be resolved as soon as possible. In a short while, many prodigy sects in the eastern domain will come to my Xuanyan holy church to discuss the Dao and practice. Don't let others laugh at you. Yes, Master. Elder Lin nodded. That's right. At this time, the Holy Lord Xuanyan seemed to have thought of something and looked a little nervous. This leader remembers that my Xuanyan holy sect has a prodigy disciple named Luo Qinghuan, who is a disciple of Taiyin perfected being. She should be okay, right? Luo Qinghuan. Elder Lin was stunned for a moment, then he quickly responded, Master, Luo Qinghuan is fine, it's just that another disciple of Taiyin perfected being had a dream. I hope she's okay. Before Elder Lin could say anything, Xuanyan Saint Lord heaved a sigh of relief and interrupted him. Obviously. She didn't care whether another disciple lived or died. All right. That's all for this matter. All elders, please go away. Immediately. Xuanyan Saint Lord waved his jade hand lightly, signaling everyone to leave. Upon hearing this, all the elders in the hall bowed and left. Soon, Holy Lord Xuanyan was the only one left in the hall. Xian Yin. Do you have an idea of the candidate? Just at this moment. Suddenly. A voice that could not be distinguished between male and female was heard in the hall. Upon hearing this voice, Xuanyan Saint Lord's expression suddenly became nervous, and he quickly turned around. He saw a holy light emerging behind him, and a shadow vaguely emerged, and it was also impossible to tell whether it was a man or a woman. Return to the holy envoy. Someone has been chosen. She quickly bowed in awe, but she was not as majestic as she had been in front of the elders of the Xuanyan holy sect just now. Oh. Who? A slightly interested voice was heard from the holy light. Luo Qinghuan. Chapter 17. Luo Qinghuan. Who is that? Upon hearing the words of Saint Lord Xuanyan, a voice of doubt was clearly heard from Saint Light. This girl is a prodigy disciple of my Xuanyan holy sect. She has reached the venerable realm before she is even 20 years old. Xuanyan holy lord nodded, a gleam of light flashing in his eyes. Oh. A venerable realm expert who is less than 20 years old. The figure in the holy light was slightly surprised. This talent is considered a prodigy even in my temple, but it's a pity. Speaking of this. The Saint Mang figure shook his head slightly. If you want to be my divine maiden, the criteria for judging are not just talent. Reply to the holy envoy, of course I know this. The holy Lord Xuanyan raised his red lips slightly and smiled mysteriously. I have already observed that this girl is not only extremely talented, but also possesses the legendary innate sacred body. She will definitely agree with the holy envoy's request to find a divine maiden. What? Innate pure sacred body. When hearing what Saint Lord Xuanyan said, the figure in the holy light finally lost her composure, and her true voice was revealed. It's a woman. There was some uncontrollable excitement in her tone. Legend has it that as long as the person who possesses this sacred body survives, he or she will grow up to become a great emperor. Moreover, the person who possesses this body is just like his or her name, pure and kind. If she can be well trained by my Supreme Forgetfulness Palace, she will definitely become the savior of the world in the future. And she said this. It also shows the power behind her. There are countless forces in the desolate sky realm, numerous sects, and countless powerful people. Even though the Xuanyan holy sect has 8 Saint Lord realm masters in charge, it can only be ranked as a first-rate force in the desolate sky territory. Above the first-rate forces are the top forces with true emperor realm masters. There are only 5 top forces in the desolate sky territory. And this sacred palace, namely the Tai Shang Wangqing Palace, is one of them. No wonder the Holy Lord Xuanyan is so in awe of the woman in the holy light. After all, the power behind her is not something that the Xuanyan holy sect can afford to offend. The great emperor. That girl will become the empress who saves the world. Hearing this, a look of deep surprise flashed across the beautiful eyes of Xuanyan Saint Lord. She only knew that Luo Qinghuan's character would be very gentle, kind, and holy due to her physique, but she had no idea that she would become an empress in the future. This moment, she felt a little regretful. If I had known this earlier, I wouldn't have said it. Stay in the Xuanyan holy sect and cultivate yourself. Then sooner or later their Xuanyan holy sect will give birth to a female emperor. But what a pity. It's too late to regret now. That's right. The woman in the holy light nodded, her tone full of joy. I didn't expect that this trip would yield such a reward. With this girl's physique, plus my divine palace's good training, I'm afraid that within 100 years, this girl will be able to become an emperor. Within 100 years. Upon hearing the words of the holy envoy of the Supreme Forgetfulness Palace, the beautiful eyes of the Holy Lord Xuanyan were filled with astonishment. You know. It took her 1,000 years to cultivate to the peak of the Saint Lord realm, and such talent is one of the best in the entire desolate sky realm. But that girl was able to become an emperor in less than 100 years? Xian Yin. You should train that girl well first. My Supreme Forgetful Palace's Divine Maiden ceremony is still about a year away. I will come to pick her up then. Haha. When the ceremony begins, this girl will definitely amaze everyone. A savior empress will be enough to shock all the strong men in the desolate sky realm. Thinking of the scene that will happen at that time, the holy envoy of the Supreme Forgetful Palace couldn't help but get excited. That's right. Give this supreme forgetfulness art to that girl and let her practice it well. At this time, she seemed to have thought of something, and a martial arts technique shining with holy white light appeared in front of the Holy Lord Xuanyan. After she finished speaking, she was about to leave. Holy Envoy, the thing that your majesty promised me. Seeing that the holy Mang woman was about to leave, the Holy Lord Xuanyan put away the supreme forget love decision and shouted hurriedly. Oh! I almost forgot. The holy envoy retracted his steps. Don't worry, since you have found such a good candidate for my supreme forgetfulness palace, I will not forget what I promised you. When the time is right, I will help you become the emperor. Thank you, Shrine. Hearing this, only then did the Holy Lord Xuanyan heave a sigh of relief, his beautiful eyes filled with excitement. It is difficult to practice, and it is even more difficult to become an emperor. She had been stuck at the peak of the Saint Lord realm for hundreds of years. No matter how hard she tried, she could not comprehend even a little bit of the meaning of the emperor realm. In this situation, the only way for her to have a chance to touch the threshold of the emperor realm is for a strong person in the emperor realm to transmit his own insights to her. That's why she sought help from Tai Shang Wangqing Palace. The Supreme Forgetful Palace also agreed, but with one condition, to help them find the Divine Maiden. To become a Divine Maiden, there are two requirements: one must have great talent and a kind heart. After so many years of observation, she noticed Luo Qinghuan early on and cultivated her kindness since she was a child, even letting her practice the Saintess King's Inju. It takes 10 years to sharpen a sword. Finally, it's time for this sword to come into play. No problem. In the holy light, the holy envoy of the Supreme Forgetfulness Palace waved his hand. If you train that girl well, maybe you will have a chance to become a god. See, creating the ancient path to godhood. Hearing this, the pupils of the beautiful eyes of the Holy Lord Xuanyan shrank, and a look of joy appeared on her pretty face. The ancient road to becoming a god, as the name suggests, is a road to becoming a god. Emperor realm is not the end of cultivation. Above the emperor realm, there is the god realm. Only, the limit that the lower realm can reach is limited to the realm before the gods. Therefore, if one wants to break through and become a god, one needs to ascend to the upper realm, break through the realm and become a god, and this path is the ancient path to becoming a god. However, not everyone can step into the ancient path to deification. Only the strong ones in the emperor realm are qualified to step into it. Moreover, the qualifications for the ancient path to deification are limited. The qualifications for the ancient path to deification in the desolate sky realm have always been in the hands of the 5 top forces. Can give her one. That means she also has the chance to ascend to the divine realm and become a god. Therefore, when the Holy Lord Xuanyan heard the holy envoy say this, he was so excited. Thank you, Shrine. She reacted and quickly bowed to express her gratitude. Hee. Take good care of that girl. I'll come back to pick her up in a year. As the words fell, the holy light gradually dissipated. Emperor Zheng, the ancient path to becoming a god. Inside the main hall, the Holy Lord Xuanyan was still immersed in joy. A long time passed. She came back to her senses, thinking of the instructions of the holy envoy of the Supreme Palace of Forgetfulness, and took a look at the holy technique in her hand. She immediately ordered someone to bring Luo Qinghuan. Although this technique was much stronger than that of their Xuanyan holy sect, she did not even dare to take a look at it. It was not because she was afraid of being discovered, but because it was rumored that the Supreme Forgetfulness technique was extremely complex. It is said that those who practice this technique will gradually lose their emotions, no longer have anger, sorrow, or joy, and will lack human feelings, and will eventually become so-called holy people. This is, they called it, the Supreme One forgets emotions. Chapter 18. Xuanyan Holy Religion. Frost Sword Peak. In a quiet courtyard on the mountainside, under the peach tree, a graceful figure in a white dress was dancing with a sword, as light as a startled swan and as graceful as a swimming dragon. After a long time, the beautiful figure in the white dress stopped dancing with the sword, wiped the sweat from her forehead, a little joy appeared on her pretty face, and she quickly called out, Suyat, Suyat. In my mind. But there was no response yet. The girl puffed up her cheeks and said unhappily, Stinky. Su. Yet. The words fell. The sound of the young boy yawning came to my mind. What are you doing? Why are you calling your brother yet? You are disturbing your brother Yi's sweet dream. In his dream, he is surrounded by beauties. Tisk tisk, you don't know how iconic beauties are in dreams. That figure, tisk tisk, doesn't look like someone poo. Lecture. Don't have those colorful dreams in my body. Otherwise, I'll beat you. Hearing Su Yi's teasing, the girl's face suddenly turned red. She gave him a fierce look and threatened fiercely. Then he looked down again. I couldn't help feeling a little depressed. Does this guy care so much? Snort. A lecherous guy. I must get bigger. Then surprise this guy. The girl clenched her fists and swore secretly. Girl Luo, why are you calling me brother yet? After joking, Su Ye asked seriously. I've made some progress in the sword Dao you taught me. I've absorbed a few more strands of heaven and earth sword essence. Luo Qinghuan raised her little face and said immediately. It looked like he was talking to Su Ye. Snort. Praise me now. Seeing the girl's innocent appearance, Su Ye couldn't help but want to laugh, but he also agreed to her wish and said seriously, very strong, it only took less than half a day for her to realize it again. With Luo Qinghuan's comprehension, as long as Su Ye helps her comprehend the first ray, the sword energy of heaven and earth will come to her continuously. Hey hey! The girl smiled. In an instant, the wind stopped here, as if admiring this beautiful smile that even the heaven and earth were eclipsed. Under the host's guidance, Luo Qinghuan comprehends the essence of the sword of heaven and earth. Host's sword Dao has reached the level of perfection, now. In Su Yi's mind, the system sound continued to sound. A strong sword intent flowed through his soul body. Oh! Have you reached the state of perfection? It's pretty fast. Su Ye nodded with satisfaction. In profound heaven continent, sword Dao is classified within the 3000 great Dao, and the realms can be divided into 8 realms, beginning to glimpse, basic accomplishment, mastery, perfection, excellence, pinnacle, transcendent, and mastery. 3000 great Dao. Even though he was a fierce bandit great emperor in his previous life, he only mastered less than 100 great Daos before his death. Sudden. Su Ye had a bold idea. The great Dao Saint Master rewarded by the system is so amazing, plus Luo girl's terrifying comprehension, if I teach her 3000 great Daos, then with 100 times the counterattack, how powerful will the 3000 great Daos become in my hands? Think of this. Su Ye suddenly couldn't wait. But he also knew that this kind of thing could not be rushed. Girl Luo, you've been refining the sword for several hours, you should be tired, right? Su Ye said with a smile. Good. I just sweated a little and felt a little uncomfortable. Luo Qinghuan was stunned for a moment when he heard his words, and replied honestly. Really? Why don't you take a bath? Luo Qinghuan thought for a moment, that's fine. Wrong. But suddenly, she crossed her arms over her chest, her little face full of alertness, and reacted. This bad guy definitely has no good intentions when asking this. He must be trying to sneak in while I'm taking a shower. After all, it's not like this guy hasn't done this before. Snort. Lecher. He. You've been active for so long, it's time to let your brother Ye come out and move around. Accompanied by a triumphant smile. The soft look in the girl's eyes suddenly turned cold. A sly smile appeared on the corner of her mouth. She turned around and walked towards the bathtub in the backyard. Let's go take a bath. The smell Su Ye. Give me back control of my body. Then you beg me. I beg you. You really begged, but do I really give it to you? Ha ha ha. You. Deep in the soul. The pretty face of the little soul in the white dress turned red. After holding it in for a long time, she finally said the most vicious words she had ever thought of, stinky Su Ye. You idiot. You are bad. You are a pervert. You are shameless. However, as soon as these words came out, she was very proud of herself. She thought Su Ye would be humiliated by her scolding, but what she got was Su Yi's ruthless ridicule. That day she only remembered that Su Ye laughed very loudly, her face turned red, and she wished she could find a place to hide. Soon, the girl came out of the bath with a red face and spat loudly. Stinky Su Ye. That bad guy didn't hold back when he attacked. It's not your body. Luo Qinghuan pouted, feeling more and more aggrieved the more she thought about it. Boom boom. Just at this moment, outside the courtyard, there was a knock on the door. Hearing the knock on the door, Luo Qinghuan and Suya were both stunned. Who could be coming so suddenly? Luo Qinghuan waved her jade hand, and a radiant light appeared on her delicate body. A white dress covered her graceful body. Then she walked to the gate of the courtyard, pushed the door open, and saw a beautiful woman in green clothes appear in front of the door. Elder King Yu. Luo Qinghuan recognized this person. She was the great elder of Frost Sword Peak, King Yu. Elder King Yu came to visit suddenly. I wonder why? Luo Qinghuan asked with some doubt. Although she knew Elder King Yu, it was unlikely that she had come to the extent that Elder King Yu would come to visit her in person. She must have come for the sex matters. Qinghuan, you just finished taking a bath. Elder King Yu smiled and glanced at the girl's hair which had not yet dried and had some water droplets on it, and asked. Yes. Hearing the words of Elder King Yu, Luo Qinghuan subconsciously thought of the shameful scene in the bathtub where Suya had just RD her, and her pretty face immediately turned red. Seeing the girl's blushing face, Elder King Yu couldn't help but smile knowingly. This girl was indeed as naive as the leader said. She would blush just by talking about bathing with outsiders. Little did she know that the girl's blushing was not because of her, but because of some stinky guy. Then Elder King Yu is looking for me, is there something? The girl came back to her senses and asked again. That's right. The leader has ordered me to take you to see her. Elder King Yu smiled and said. Master. Hearing this, Luo Qinghuan and Suya in her body frowned, their hearts sank. Could it be that the deaths of Tianyanzi and Taiyin perfected being were suspected of them? Suya, what should I do? Luo Qinghuan asked subconsciously. Now. Unconsciously, Suya seemed to have become her backbone. It's okay, your brother yet is here, just go with her. Suya shook his head and said calmly. But he still has the Emperor Realm attack stuck in his body. If it really comes to a life and death situation, he is still capable of protecting this girl. Suyi's calm words were like the strongest reassurance pill. Luo Qinghuan's uneasiness was swept away at this moment, and she nodded her head obediently. Then Elder King Yu, please lead the way. Chapter 19. Soon. Luo Qinghuan followed Elder King Yu to the main hall of Xuanyan Holy Sect. Qinghuan, the leader is in the main hall, please go in quickly. Elder King Yu chuckled and said to the girl beside him. It was obvious that she had no intention of going in with them. Luo Qinghuan nodded slightly. Although she was a little worried, she felt relieved when she thought of what Suya said. She gritted her teeth and mustered up the courage to push the door open. When Luo Qinghuan pushed open the door of the hall, she saw a beautiful woman with a curvy figure wearing a purple cheongsam who had been waiting for a long time. Qinghuan, I haven't seen you for a long time. You have grown so beautiful. Accompanied by the woman's silver bell-like laughter. A fragrant breeze blew over. Xuanyan Saint Lord had already appeared in front of Luo Qinghuan and looked at her carefully. The more he looked at the girl, the more satisfied he became. The girl was not wearing any makeup and looked pure, yet extremely beautiful. It's like the divine maiden from heaven has come down to earth. Presumably, the Supreme Forgetfulness Palace would be extremely satisfied upon seeing this, and by then, his qualification to become an ancient god would be a sure thing. Qinghuan has met the leader. Luo Qinghuan bowed, secretly looked at the charming and beautiful woman in front of her, a little absent-minded, and then looked at her again. She secretly straightened her chest, wanting to compete. Result. It was a complete defeat. She pouted. Snort. Stinky Suya must like this, right? That lecher must be secretly looking at the leader in her body. Who is secretly cursing your brother yet? Suya, who was looking at Xuanyan Saint Lord at this moment, suddenly sneezed and frowned. Don't get me wrong. He is a serious man. Not at all, but there is a saying that goes, purple does have charm. The peak of the Saint Lord realm. Even if this strength wants to attack Luo Yedu, I have the confidence that I can instantly activate the Great Emperor attack card to kill her and then quickly escape. After feeling the strength of the Xuanyan Saint Lord, Suya already had an idea in his mind. Don't panic, girl Luo. Your brother yet is here. Go and ask her what her purpose is. Luo Qinghuan nodded. Then he looked at the Holy Lord Xuanyan. I wonder why the Holy Lord asked Qinghuan to come here. That's right. Xuanyan Saint Lord retracted his satisfied gaze, and said with his red lips slightly opened, Qinghuan, you are also one of the few prodigy disciples in my Xuanyan Saint sect. The technique you are practicing now should still be Saintess Kings and Ju, right? The cultivation method. Hearing the words of Holy Lord Xuanyan, Luo Qinghuan and Suya were both stunned for a moment. It seems that it is not about Tianyin's death, Suya breathed a sigh of relief. Even though he had the great emperor's attack stuck, he didn't need to fear the Xuanyan Saint Lord. With the talent of Luo Qinghuan and the guidance of his Saint Master, it is only a matter of time before he becomes stronger. Girl Luo, just answer her. Suya said softly. My lord, I am now practicing the Saintess's heart purification technique. As the girl spoke, a blush appeared on her pretty face. Because she had given up practicing the Saintess Kings and Ju a long time ago, she had been practicing the heaven-swallowing demon technique taught by Suya during this period. Also, because of the innate pure sacred body, she still felt extremely ashamed for letting this girl lie. But fortunately, looking at the blush on Luo Qinghuan's little face, Xuanyan Saint Lord would only think that this girl was very pure. Saintess's Kings and Ju is good, but it's still not enough for you at the moment. The Holy Lord Xuanyan said. She spread out her jade hands, and a flash of light passed by. A martial arts manual emitting an incomparably holy light appeared in his palm. This is... Luo Qinghuan looked at it curiously. This technique is called the Supreme Forgetfulness Technique, which can help you cultivate your character and improve your cultivation. It is much stronger than the techniques you have practiced before. The Xuanyan Saint Lord explained softly. However, she did not say that this technique was given by the Holy Envoy of the Supreme Palace of Forgetfulness. He also had no intention of talking to Luo Qinghuan about the candidacy for Divine Maiden in the Supreme Palace of Forgetfulness. After all, according to the Holy Messenger, the time is not yet ripe. The Supreme Forgetfulness Technique. Luo Qinghuan was stunned. The Supreme Forgetfulness. Why does this name sound so familiar? Suya frowned, always feeling that he could smell a hint of conspiracy. Summoning Luo Yetu here just to give her a book of martial arts? Suddenly, a flash of inspiration came to Suyi's mind, and he suddenly thought of something. In the original novel, Luo Qinghuan, who possessed the innate sacred body, practiced the Tai Shang Wangqing Ju, and was controlled by the Tai Shang Wangqing Palace, one of the 5 top forces in the desolate sky realm, and eventually became a savior empress who was like a puppet. It turned out that it was at this point in time that this technique was given to Luo Yetu, laying the groundwork for controlling her in the future. Snort. In the original novel, you controlled Luo Yetu. Now that your brother Ye is here, do you still want to control Luo Yetu? Turn her into a puppet to save the world. Suya snorted coldly. Then he said to Luo Qinghuan indifferently. Girl Luo, just reject her directly. This technique will only harm you and will do you no good. Ah! Hearing this, the girl's face suddenly turned extremely pale. She had never expected that the seemingly gentle leader of the mysterious Yin sect in front of her actually wanted to harm her. Suya, is this true? The girl asked cautiously. Nature. Suya nodded and explained that if Luo Qinghuan practiced the Supreme Forgetfulness Technique, she would be controlled by the Divine Palace and turned into a puppet empress. The girl was immediately frightened and her face turned pale. Then she nodded quickly. I trust you. But the leader is at the Saint Lord level. If we disobey her, will we? Only the Saint Lord realm. Suya sneered. After all, he was the reincarnation of the great emperor. He was not afraid of the Holy Lord realm. After all, I still have the great emperor one-hit card. This matter concerns Luo Qinghuan's future, so we must be tough. This supreme art of forgetting love must never be practiced. With your brother Ye here, what are you afraid of? Suya said lightly, his tone was extremely calm. Hearing this, the girl's anxious heart finally settled down a little. For some reason, she always had an inexplicable sense of security when listening to Suyi's words. Immediately, she just mustered up the courage and looked towards the leader of the mysterious Yin sect. Master, Master! This technique! I don't want to learn. Chapter 20. What? When the leader of mysterious Yin sect heard Luo Qinghuan's somewhat weak but extremely firm words, he was obviously stunned for a moment, with a flash of surprise in his eyes, and it took him a long time to come back to his senses. She frowned and her tone turned cold as she questioned the girl. Why? I don't want to learn. Luo Qinghuan shook her head. She couldn't say that Suya didn't let her learn, right? Is that so? The leader of the mysterious Yin sect frowned, thinking that the girl simply didn't want to learn, so he talked about the benefits of this technique again, but did not mention a word about its disadvantages. However, the girl kept shaking her head and refused to learn. Finally, the patience of the Lord of Mysterious Yin sect was exhausted, a cold look flashed in his eyes, and the aura of the powerful Saint Lord realm burst out instantly. Presumptuous! Since this leader asked you to learn, you should learn. Is that impossible? Do you still want to disobey this leader? This matter concerns her emperor realm and her qualifications for the ancient path to godhood. She doesn't care whether you, Luo Qinghuan, want to practice the supreme forgetfulness technique. If she said she wanted to repair it, then the girl must repair it. Since literary means don't work, let's try force. Boom. Moment. The aura of the Saint Lord realm was directed at the girl. The terrifying pressure instantly made the girl's face turn pale and her mouth pouted. So yet, will you, save me? Rest assured. Your brother yet is here. Suya smiled slightly. In my mind. The system sound dropped. Great Emperor's one-hit card has been used, remaining times *2 boom the words fell. Sudden. An extremely terrifying pressure instantly enveloped the entire hall. The Saint Lord aura of the mysterious Yin sect leader collapsed and disappeared completely. What? Great Emperor, now. The face of the leader of mysterious Yin sect changed drastically, as if she was suffocating, and her pretty face was filled with fear. At this moment, she only felt an extremely terrifying aura that directly suppressed her whole body. This aura was unprecedented. She had never felt such a terrifying aura. This is the Great Emperor. And he is not just an ordinary Great Emperor. Tell me, which is faster, you letting Luo girl learn the supreme forget love art, or me slapping you to death, at the same time? A young man's indifferent voice sounded in the head of the mysterious Yin sect leader. Hiss. Just a few words made the leader of mysterious Yin sect sweat profusely. Could it be that? Is this the protector behind that girl? At this moment, the leader of the mysterious Yin sect was sweating profusely. Under the terrifying imperial power, she couldn't even control her breathing. Her heart was filled with turmoil and she kept guessing. The protector of the way. This is the only possibility. Senior, please spare my life. I was also possessed by the devil, which is why I did such a thing. The terrifying imperial power seemed to transform into a giant hand, grabbing the mysterious Yin sect leader and hanging her in the air. She begged for mercy with a trembling voice. Snort. Don't think that I don't know about your dealings with the Supreme Forgetful Palace. Anyone who dares to attack Miss Luo, I will settle accounts with them one by one. Suya said lightly. Although it was just a Great Emperor one-strike experience card, he was a genuine former Great Emperor, and the imperial power in his tone could not be condensed by an experience card. Hearing this, the face of the leader of the mysterious Yin sect was extremely pale. Was her conversation with the divine envoy also heard by this great protector? Hiss. What kind of existence is this almighty being? Besides, what is Luo Qinghuan's identity? How could such a terrifying power protect him? I will not kill you this time, but I want you to do two things. At this time, Su Yi's words sounded faintly. What is it, please tell me, senior? Hearing that there was still a way to survive, the leader of the mysterious Yin sect asked hurriedly. First, little Luo doesn't know how to practice the Supreme Forgetfulness art, but I want you to keep it a secret from the Supreme Forgetfulness Palace. Second, all cultivation resources from the sect and the like must be biased towards little Luo. Suya said lightly. Even though there was a hit from the Great Emperor, killing the mysterious Yin sect master was just a matter of a slap. But in the long run, it is not cost-effective. After all, there is also a powerful Great Emperor in the Tai Shang Wangqing Palace, and his Great Emperor attack card only has 2 chances left and cannot be used indiscriminately. It would be better to divert resources to Luo Yetu and speed up her cultivation. I can also gain a great improvement. As long as I return to the level of Great Emperor, I will not have to fear this Supreme Forgetful Palace. Yes. Yes, yes. I will definitely keep in mind what my predecessors said. The leader of the mysterious Yin sect nodded immediately without any hesitation. She could clearly sense the terror of this great guardian elder. Even the Lord of the Temple of God had never given her such a strong feeling of fear. His strength is definitely above that of the Lord of the Shrine. Hugging someone's thigh isn't the same as hugging. From today onwards, all resources will be biased towards Qinghuan. That's fine. Suya snorted coldly. That's right. If you are willing, you can also let Qinghuan participate in the Dao conference in the near future. The rewards for the Dao conference are extraordinary, and not only the cultivation resources of our Swanyan holy sect, but also the resources of other sections. At this time, the mysterious Yin sect master whispered. A conference on Taoism. No. Suya said lightly. Okay, girl Luo, let's go. And at this moment, the girl's beautiful eyes were already filled with stars of admiration. Suya was just so handsome. To this, Suya just smiled faintly. What is this? Just give them a little shock from the fierce bandit great emperor. Back at the small courtyard on the mountainside, the girl was still immersed in Suyi's handsomeness, with little stars twinkling in her beautiful eyes. How about it? Isn't your brother ya handsome just now? The corners of Suyi's mouth lifted slightly. Humph, just barely, so. Hearing Suyi's words, the girl snorted softly. After all, knowing Suya well, if she praised him, this bad guy would definitely take advantage of the situation. Although this crisis has been resolved, we still need some countermeasures. Suya didn't care and narrowed his eyes. Since the Supreme Palace of Forgetfulness can control those who practice the supreme art of forgetfulness, he will modify this technique a little bit. Like to be in control? Then I will control you instead. As the great emperor, what's wrong with modifying some of the techniques? Soon, the system voice sounded in my mind. The host has modified the supreme forgetfulness art. When reaching a certain level, the host can control the people in the divine palace in turn. Good. Girl Luo, your brother Ye has modified the supreme forgetfulness art. When your realm reaches a higher level, we will be able to use the people in the divine palace as puppets. Suya said with a smile. Hehe, since they like puppets so much, then it's okay for me to be a puppet myself, right? Hearing Suyi's words, the girl was stunned. Control it in reverse. Hey! Suya, you are so sinister. You little girl Luo, you actually dare to tease your brother yet? Do you believe me or not, I will spank you. Suya raised his eyebrows. You are allowed to tease me, but I am not allowed to tease you. The girl smiled triumphantly, her eyes full of playfulness. Besides, you don't have a physical body, and even if you shout every day that you want to spank me, you can't do it, However, in the small courtyard, accompanied by a scream from the girl, as the expression in her beautiful eyes changed, she actually raised her jade hand and placed it on that soft and perky butt. Hehe. Who said that your brother Ye can't spank you just because he doesn't have a physical body? Suya snorted complacently. Then the control of the body was returned. Bullying. The girl's expression changed, she pouted in grievance, then clenched her fists, and secretly swore in her heart that when the stinky Suya had a physical body, she would bully him back severely. What are you doing? Suya glanced at her. No, nothing. The girl suddenly panicked and put down her fist, looking like a guilty thief. Puff. Seeing this scene, Suya couldn't help laughing. After this period of time together, he could clearly feel the changes in Luo Qinghuan. She was no longer as depressed as before, but instead felt more happy. Stinky Suya. You laughed at me again. As Suyi's laughter fell, the coquettish voice of the girl in the courtyard was as bright as the peach blossoms. Have fun for a while. Suya was talking about business, and he immediately spoke seriously. Okay, girl Luo. Since we are going to use the people of the shrine as puppets, what we need to do now is to quickly improve our realm. After all, the shrine also has the great emperor. Chapter 21. Luo Qinghuan nodded slightly. By the way, what is this discussion on cultivation that Swanyan Saint Lord mentioned? Suya thought of another thing that Swanyan Saint Lord had reminded him of before leaving the hall, and couldn't help but ask. Discuss the Dao and practice. The Eastern Wilderness sects will send their respective prodigy disciples to my Swanyan Holy Church to discuss and practice. Those who win the practice will obtain practice resources and techniques. Luo Qinghuan explained. But I don't know how to discuss the Dao and practice it specifically. You didn't know? Suya was a little surprised. After all, as a prodigy disciple of the Swanyan Holy Sect, Luo Qinghuan should have the opportunity to participate in this discussion and practice. This. Luo Qinghuan gritted his teeth, looking as if he was afraid of being blamed by Su Ye, and said weakly, I wanted to participate before, but my senior brothers and sisters all said that with my talent, it would be better to give these training resources to them. Really? Su Ye was not too surprised to hear Luo Qinghuan's words. He had obviously guessed it would be like this. No problem. It's not your fault. It's just the innate sacred body that's causing trouble. He shook his head slightly. You can just join this time. We need to grab all the cultivation resources at once. Although the mysterious Yin sect leader has allocated more resources, we still need the cultivation resources we can get. After all, improving strength is the key now. Luo Qinghuan nodded slightly, her pretty face full of seriousness. She clenched her fists, looking fierce. Hehe, I will definitely beat them all down. Luo Qinghuan shows his ferocity and completes a black transformation. Reward, Sacred Body Pill Refining Method. At this time, in Su Yi's mind, the system sound suddenly sounded. Sacred Body Pill. Hearing this, Su Ye was stunned and frowned. Sacred Body Pill can greatly improve physical strength. If you invest in Luo Qinghuan, you can raise the upper limit of the host's strength she can bear. When the host is on the account, he will be able to exert his full strength without any restrictions. See system explanation. Su Yi's eyes gradually lit up. This thing is a good thing. This way, he won't have to be so restrained when logging in next time, fearing that the girl's body won't be able to withstand his strength. What benefits will there be after investing? This sacred body pill doesn't look simple. What can you get after investing? After investing in black, the host can obtain a Futu demon body pill. After swallowing, the host can gain blackening value, which can be used to reshape the body. The system sound rang again. What? Buddha's demon body. Darkening value, method to rebuild the body. I heard the system's voice in my mind. A hint of ecstasy immediately flashed in Su Yi's eyes. Nothing was more important than him rebuilding his body. Sacred body Dan, right? Invest. Must invest. There is still some time before we can discuss the Dao and practice it. Su Ye was not idle during this period, and he continued to guide Luo Qinghuan in his cultivation. Luo Qinghuan's strength also successfully broke through from 3 stars in the Heavenly Venerable Realm to 5 stars in the Heavenly Venerable Realm. Su Ye also became stronger because of her breakthrough, and his cultivation strength was directly improved to 3 stars in the Creation Realm. He also asked Luo Qinghuan to find all the medicinal materials for refining the sacred body pill. After all, the investment in the sacred body pill was too important. And with the relationship with the leader of the mysterious Yin sect, finding medicinal herbs was also very easy. Only, the last medicinal herb is called Tianhun grass, which is not available in the Swanyan Holy sect. Finally, after inquiring with the leader of the mysterious Yin sect, they learned that the heavenly soul grass grew in the secret realm of Kunlun Trial, and that this secret realm only allowed cultivators at the creation realm or below to enter. Therefore, the leader of the mysterious Yin sect could only do nothing to help. The only option is to let the girl enter the Kunlun secret realm to search. Su Ye immediately made the girl set off impatiently. Swanyan Holy Religion. I saw dozens of ancient bronze doors standing on a huge stone platform. The ancient doors were all shining white and emitting strong spatial fluctuations. This place is called the teleportation platform, and these ancient bronze doors are the teleportation gates to the secret realms in various places in the desolate sky domain. Basically, all the major forces in the desolate sky domain have such gates to facilitate the training of disciples in the sect. And at this moment, the transmission platform was already crowded with people. Many disciples of the Swanyan Holy Sect entered the portal and headed to the trial site. Just at this moment, a graceful figure in a white dress passed by, immediately attracting the attention of the surrounding disciples. Hey! Who is that senior sister? She is so beautiful. I didn't expect that there is such a beautiful person in our Swanyan Holy Sect. A disciple looked at the beautiful figure with deep amazement in his eyes. You don't even know her. As soon as these words came out, the disciples around him immediately sneered. How ignorant! This is Luo Qinghuan from my Frost Sword Peak, senior sister Luo. She ranks 6th among the prodigy of my Swanyan Holy Sect. She is extremely talented, beautiful, kind, and low-key. Number 6 on the Swanyan prodigy list. Senior sister Luo from Frost Sword Peak. I really want to be senior sister Luo's dog. However, at this moment, the girl in the white dress didn't care about the gazes of the people around her at all, and just walked towards a portal on her own. "Qinghuan girl, you're here." When the elder of Xuanyan Holy Sect who was guarding the transmission platform saw Luo Qinghuan coming, he immediately looked over and greeted her with a smile. "Which secret realm are you planning to go to this time?" Replying to elder son, "It is still Kunlun realm." Luo Qinghuan replied. "Kunlun realm. Okay. Hold the space card. It can be used twice. Once for coming and once for returning. Don't run around." Elder son nodded, and quickly handed the space card to Luo Qinghuan and gave him instructions. "Thank you, elder." After Luo Qinghuan thanked him and took the space card, he walked towards the direction pointed by Elder Sunday. Compared with other portals, fewer disciples entered this portal. This is mainly because the trial requirements of Kunlun realm are relatively high, and only monks from the divine ability realm can enter. Soon. After waiting in line for a while, it was Luo Qinghuan's turn. She placed the space card handed to her by Elder Sun on the ancient bronze door. Immediately, half of the energy on the card poured into the ancient door. Soon, white light enveloped her delicate body and the surrounding space changed. Wait for her beautiful eyes to open again. The surrounding scene changed. Is this the Kunlun realm? At the same time, Su Yi's voice also sounded in her mind. Luo Qinghuan nodded and explained to Su Yi softly. Legend has it that Kunlun realm should actually be called Kunlun Mirror, because it is a world in a mirror. Kunlun Mirror was once an imperial weapon of the great emperor of Kunlun. He placed all his treasured possessions into this mirror. When the great emperor fell, the world in the mirror gradually became reality, forming a secret realm called Kunlun. It's a pity that most of the precious things have been looted. Otherwise, they wouldn't be released to allow disciples from the major sects in the desolate sky territory to come and train. Hearing this, Su Yi raised an eyebrow. An imperial weapon that can form its own space is a good thing. Of course it is a good thing, but it's a pity that the original body of Kunlun Mirror has long been lost along with the fall of Kunlun Great Emperor. Luo Qinghuan said with some regret. Missing where? Maybe, it's my destiny. Su Yi murmured, then urged. Okay, girl Luo, let's get going. Yet. Luo Qinghuan nodded slightly. Just at this moment, suddenly a surprised voice came from the side. Hey! Senior Sister Luo. Chapter 22. Senior Sister Luo. You've come to Kunlun territory too. Not far away, in front of the entrance to Kunlun realm, among a group of people wearing Xuanyan holy religion clothing, a girl in a pink skirt was waving excitedly at Luo Qinghuan. Junior Sister and Ran. I saw the girl in the pink skirt who looked familiar. Luo Qinghuan was stunned for a moment. This woman was none other than Junior Sister and Ran whom I met in front of the training tower some time ago. She was also the only one among the people present at the time who felt that what Gongsun Shui did was wrong. Junior Sister and Ran. What did you just say? Senior Sister Luo. Could it be, that she is the prodigy of your Frost Sword Peak, Luo Qinghuan, Senior Sister Luo? When they heard Ran's words, all the disciples of Xuanyan Holy Sect were stunned for a moment, then a hint of joy flashed in their eyes, and they asked hurriedly. Ran nodded in admiration. Back when she was in the training tower, she saw with her own eyes how heroic and valiant Senior Sister Luo was. She was so cool. So she is Senior Sister Luo. After seeing her today, I can see that she is indeed a peerless beauty. Senior Sister Luo is not only beautiful, but she has probably already broken through to the heavenly venerable realm. She is extremely powerful. What? Heavenly venerable realm? Hiss. Hearing this, all the disciples of Xuanyan Holy Sect were shocked and took a deep breath. The strength of this group of people is just at the divine ability realm, while the girl not far away is obviously younger than them, but her strength is 2 realms higher than theirs. I didn't expect Senior Sister Luo to be so strong. As expected, you are ranked 6th on the Xuanyan Holy Church's prodigy list. Ran, you seem to have a good relationship with Senior Sister Luo. I heard that Senior Sister Luo is kind and helpful. I'm afraid the place we are going to this time may be a little dangerous, so why don't we? Just at this moment, in the crowd, a female disciple seemed to have thought of something, looked at Ran, and spoke quickly. Why don't you tell Senior Sister Luo and ask her to go with us? This way, if we encounter danger, we will have an extra layer of protection. After all, Senior Sister Luo is very powerful. As soon as these words came out, the surrounding disciples also reacted and echoed. Yes, Junior Sister, and ran. This Kunlun realm is already extremely dangerous, and there are also powerful people from other sects. If Senior Sister Luo can protect us, we will definitely be much safer. Yeah. Sister Luo, you won't be unwilling to help with this little favor, right? Hearing what everyone said, Anran was stunned. She seemed to have not expected things to develop in this way. She looked embarrassed. My fellow brothers and sisters, this is not good, right? What's wrong with that? For Senior Sister Luo, it's just a matter of convenience. We are all from the Swanyan Holy Church, so we naturally have to help each other outside. That's right. As soon as Anran said this, everyone around her refuted it with reason and evidence. But, won't this delay Senior Sister Luo too much? She must have her own experience in Kunlun territory. Anran frowned and said again, besides, when it comes to experience, you can only rely on yourself. Junior Sister Anran. What's the matter with you calling me? At this time, as the girl's sweet voice rang out, the girl in the white dress appeared in front of everyone. When they observed the girl from such a close distance, they found that Senior Sister Luo was even more beautiful than they had imagined. Senior Sister Luo, no. Anran wanted to say that it was okay, but before she could finish her words, she was interrupted by the female disciple next to her. She was the one who first suggested that Luo Qinghuan protect them. Lu Yu from Yuan Peak has met Senior Sister Luo. It's like this, we plan to go to the depths of Kunlun Mirror to train. Deep in the Kunlun Mirror. Luo Qinghuan frowned, glanced at everyone, shook his head and warned, the depths of Kunlun Mirror are extremely dangerous, you'd better not go there. Of course we do. Lu Yu smiled and finally stated her purpose. So I want to ask if Senior Sister Luo is free. Why not go with us? Even if there is danger, I think you can keep us safe with your cultivation level. Speaking of. She quickly winked at Anran and others beside her. Anran gritted her teeth and said nothing. But the people around them spoke up immediately. Yes. Senior Sister Luo, we are all disciples of the Swanyan Holy Sect, and it is only natural for us to help each other. We've all heard that Senior Sister Luo is kind and nice, so you wouldn't be unwilling to help us with even this little favor, right? Sister Luo, you don't want to blame yourself for not helping us and putting us in danger, right? Hearing these outrageous remarks, Suya couldn't help but sneer. Can. Just when everyone was a little worried about whether Luo Qinghuan would agree, the girl hesitated for a moment and nodded slightly. But. However. Before everyone could show joy, the girl's voice sounded again. What benefits can you give me? Luo Qinghuan's beautiful eyes fell on Lu Yu and asked seriously. Stinky Suya said it. Refuse all freeloading. Want me to protect you? Can. Then you have to pay your due. You need yuan. Ah. However. When hearing Luo Qinghuan's words, it was Lu Yu's turn to be stunned. A hint of surprise flashed across her eyes. She obviously didn't expect Luo Qinghuan to say this, and obviously didn't intend to give Luo Qinghuan any benefits. She gritted her teeth, looking embarrassed. Senior Sister Luo. The spiritual spring we are looking for has limited spirit qi. It is just enough for us divine ability realm monks to absorb it. There is no extra for you, Senior Sister Luo. Besides. Sister Luo, you have already reached the venerable realm. I'm afraid the spiritual spring is useless to you. Oh. Luo Qinghuan narrowed his eyes, his gaze fell on Lu Yu, and interrupted her, you mean, you want to get W for free? What are you talking about, Senior Sister Luo? What's this about freeloading? This is just the friendship between fellow disciples. Lu Yu quickly explained. I'm sorry, I can't keep you company. Without waiting for her to finish her nonsense, Luo Qinghuan turned around and left. She was no longer the same Luo Qinghuan. She was now the Stinky Suyi's trainer. Ba, the teaching version. Junior Sister Anran, goodbye. She said something to Anran, and then planned to enter the gate in front of her and enter the Kunlun realm. See this scene. Lu Yu and other disciples of Swanyan Holy Sect were left looking at each other in bewilderment. They didn't expect Luo Qinghuan to refuse so decisively. Is this still the helpful Senior Sister Luo who was rumored to be so? Why are you pretending? She's so self-righteous. I thought Luo Qinghuan was so noble. Pa. She won't go unless you give her some benefits. It's disgusting. She has no sect ties at all. I think she should just die in Kunlun realm. Being rejected by Luo Qinghuan on the spot, Lu Yu felt humiliated. She gritted her teeth and cursed at the girl's back as she left. However. But she didn't pay any attention. When she finished speaking, the girl in front seemed to pause, and then the next moment, she slowly turned her head, the expression in her beautiful eyes suddenly became extremely indifferent, her gaze fell on Lu Yu, and she said in a cold voice. You just say what? Boom. The words fell. The pressure from Heavenly Venerable fell heavily on Lu Yu. Chapter 23. In an instant, the pressure from the powerful Heavenly Venerable realm made the faces of the surrounding Xuanyan Holy Sect disciples change drastically, and they looked at the girl in white dress who turned around and walked towards them with awe. At this moment, the expression on the girl's beautiful face has changed, from the previous softness to extreme indifference, and her pretty face is as if covered with frost. She said nothing, just walked towards the crowd step by step. Every step they took made everyone feel an extremely terrifying sense of oppression. What did you just say? The girl stopped at Lu Yu, who was suppressed to the ground by the Heavenly Venerable aura, and stretched out her jade hand. Spirit Qi transformed into an invisible hand to grab her throat and lifted her up in the air. A cold voice also sounded at this moment. I. Senior Sister Luo, I was wrong. Please forgive me, Wu. Lu Yu's face turned pale and she burst into tears out of fear. The extremely indifferent look of the girl in front of her made her feel endless murderous intent. Her body was trembling, and for a moment there was a warm current flowing through her legs, but she didn't care about that and quickly begged for mercy. Hiss. It turns out that Senior Sister Luo has such a terrifying side. Is this the feeling of oppression from a heavenly venerable strongman around? The disciples of Xuanyan Holy Sect were trembling and did not dare to say a word for Lu Yu. After all, they all heard Lu Yu's curse just now. Lu Yu ended up like this. She can only blame herself for this. If there is a next time, you will die. Suya said this in a cold voice, and then threw Lu Yu out heavily as if throwing away garbage. Yes, thank you, Senior Sister Luo. Lu Yu hurriedly got up from the ground as if she had been saved, and thanked the girl in front of her. When the terrifying pressure of the Heavenly Venerable fell on her, she realized that Luo Qinghuan's helpfulness was just a rumor, but the terrifying strength of the Heavenly Venerable realm was a fact. After teaching Lu Yu a lesson, Suya then walked towards the door of Kunlun Mirror, returning the control of his body to Luo Qinghuan as he walked. Girl Luo. Next time you meet someone like this, just take action. Luo Qinghuan nodded her little head, feeling a little warm in her heart. She had just heard Lu Yu's words, and before she could react, Suya took control of her body, and then that happened. Alright. Let's enter Kunlun territory. Yet. Luo Qinghuan responded, then pushed open the door in front of her with her jade hand and walked in. Boom. In Kunlun, there are countless gates standing, and on each gate there are large characters written in a flamboyant style, all of which are the names of the sects they belong to. As the gates open, many figures walk out of the gates. These are the disciples from the major sects in the Desolate Sky territory who came to Kunlun territory for training. Many disciples who entered Kunlun realm for the first time were attracted by the secret realm and could not wait to rush into the secret realm to look for opportunities. However, some old hands were not in a hurry to enter the secret realm to look for opportunities, but kept looking at the disciples of various forces who kept coming out of various portals. In this kind of secret realm, in addition to worrying about the demons that exist in the secret realm itself, you also have to pay attention to the disciples of other forces and sects. After all, sometimes human hearts are scarier than demons. And from a certain perspective, not only do the existing opportunities exist in the secret realm, but aren't the disciples from some powerful forces who come here for training also a kind of opportunity? Therefore, the best strategy is to observe the disciples of other sects first. Boom. Just at this moment, a big door suddenly opened, instantly attracting the attention of many monks. When they saw the three large characters written in a flamboyant style on the gate, the faces of the cultivators in Kunlun suddenly changed, and their expressions were filled with solemnity and awe. I saw it on the gate. There are these three big words. Battle Heaven Palace. One of the 5 top forces in the wilderness territory. 5 major forces. He can basically walk sideways in the entire desolate sky territory, and no one dares to provoke him. Hiss! What's going on? The heaven-wearing palace is here too. Don't these 5 top forces usually disdain to come to Kunlun territory? Why today? When they saw the teleportation gate belonging to the Zhantian palace suddenly opened, all the cultivators in Kunlun's territory changed their expressions and a hint of doubt flashed in their eyes. The 5 top forces in the desolate sky realm all have portals established in the Kunlun realm. Disciples within the sect can come here for trials. But basically, there are very few disciples from the 5 major forces going there, because among the trial secret realms controlled by the 5 major forces, Kunlun realm is not considered the best trial secret realm, so there are very few disciples going there. After all, with this much time, one would naturally choose a stronger and better secret realm trial. People from the Battle Heaven Palace have come out. Why does the person in the middle look so familiar? Just at this moment, when the teleportation gate opened with a bang, a group of monks in golden brocade robes walked out of the gate. Among the crowd, a young man in golden armor and with a noble bearing immediately attracted the attention of all the monks. FK. I know who he is. A middle-aged independent cultivator looked at the young man and felt that he looked more and more familiar. The next moment, his face changed and he exclaimed. Qin Tian. The 3rd prodigy of the Battle Heaven Palace. Looking at the entire Wilderness Realm prodigy list, he is a terrifying existence that can be ranked in the top 20. It is said that at such a young age, he has already reached the terrifying Venerable Realm 8 stars. He is only a few steps away from the realm of good fortune. What's even more terrifying is, Qin Tian even used his strength of an 8-star heavenly venerable realm to cross levels and kill a demon Dao independent cultivator who had just entered the creation realm. Now the Lord of the Heaven-wearing Palace thinks highly of him. If this boy had not died, they would have had another Emperor Realm Master in the Heaven-wearing Palace within 1,000 years. Hiss! As soon as these words came out, there was a sound of people gasping for air all around. Then there was endless speculation. Not only has the Zhantian Palace of the 5 top forces come, but even the famous Qin Tian has come. Could it be that there is some great opportunity that has not been discovered in this Kunlun realm? Very likely. But since everyone from Zhantian Palace is here, even if there is a great opportunity that we haven't discovered yet, I'm afraid it has nothing to do with us. That Qin Tian is a terrifying existence who can kill powerful people in the creation realm. Even if you snatched the opportunity in front of him, would you be able to absorb it? Qin Tian has the Zhantian Palace behind him. I just regret that we didn't discover this great opportunity earlier. Why? Around there was a constant stream of sighs. Brother Qin Tian, the palace master said that the thing should be in the northwest of Kunlun territory. As for where it is, we need to go find it. Among the disciples of the Zhantian Palace, they ignored the reactions of the cultivators around them. One disciple took a step forward and whispered to Qin Tian who was in the middle. No. Qin Tian nodded. Let's go. He said something. He wanted to take all the disciples of Zhantian Palace away. Just at this moment, not far away, an ancient door opened and a graceful figure in a white dress walked out. Quietly. Chapter 24. The sudden opening of the stone door immediately attracted everyone's attention. That is the portal of Swanyan Holy Religion. When they saw where this portal belonged, the monks couldn't help but look over there again. Although the Swanyan Holy Sect is not as good as the top 5 forces, it is also one of the best among the first-class forces. As the white light slowly dissipated in the eyes of everyone, the graceful figure in the white dress appeared in front of the portal. Hiss! What a beautiful woman! This is the first time I've seen such a beautiful woman. It is said that Swanyan Holy Sect is rich in beauties. Today I saw that the rumors are indeed true. Such a beautiful girl dares to enter Kunlun realm alone? Haha, maybe this is her first time to come out of the ivory tower for a trial? She is so naive, but it doesn't matter. I'm afraid she will soon understand the dangers of the world, hee. When the cultivators in Kunlun saw the face of the beautiful figure in white, they were immediately stunned by her stunning beauty. They gasped and their eyes were burning. For a time, many people with ill intentions had some evil thoughts. Even Qin Tian from the Zhantian Palace's gaze fell on the girl in the white dress and lingered for a moment, a little dazed. He is the 3rd prodigy of Zhantian Palace and one of the top 20 prodigy of Huangtian realm. What kind of beauties has he not seen? But compared with the girl in the white dress, those beauties seem pale in comparison and are simply not worth mentioning. Brother Qinghuan. Do you like this girl? Aside. The disciples of Zhangtian Palace withdrew their surprised looks and couldn't help but smile as they looked at Qinghuan, who was staring at the girl in the white dress. I can't say I like her enough. She is pretty, but unfortunately, I'm afraid she is just a vase. A woman who can match me, Qinghuan, can't be just a vase. Qinghuan looked arrogant, snorted coldly and then looked away. Let's go. First complete the task assigned to us by the palace master. After saying, he took everyone from the Zhangtian Palace away. Is this the interior of Kunlun territory? Deep in his soul, Suya murmured and looked towards the deep mountains ahead. This was indeed a space of its own. Green mountains, clear waters, and towering forests. Just like the outside world. But the difference is that the spirit chi here is much richer than that in the outside world, and there are great opportunities that the outside world does not have. After all, no one knows what the great emperor of Kunlun put in his Kunlun mirror. Girl Luo, hurry up. Yet. Luo Qinghuan nodded slightly, and then, without ignoring the gazes of the monks around her, she moved her delicate body and turned into a white figure, stepping into the green mountains and clear waters and disappearing. Kunlun realm. In a medicinal field. Roar. Accompanied by a roar. I saw a figure with flames burning all over its body, shaped like a human, but its limbs were made of tree roots. It was trying desperately to avoid the ice that kept falling from the sky. The ice was extremely sharp, and I could even vaguely feel the terrifying sword intent flowing. And the sky. A graceful figure in a white dress stood in mid-air, the spirit sword in her hand was covered with a layer of frost, and sword intent flowed. The next moment. Without waiting for the monster to react, the girl in the white dress took a step forward, holding the sword intent in her hand, and slashed at it. Senior, spare my life. I am the incarnation of 1,000-year-old flaming ginseng. It is not easy for me to practice till now. I hope that Senior will spare my life. Seeing that it could not avoid the sword, the monster actually spoke in human language, knelt down on its knees and begged for mercy from the girl in white dress. The girl ignored it, but the sword in her hand seemed to slow down a little. Seeing this, the flame ginseng's eyes were filled with joy, and it hurriedly spoke again, but as it spoke, countless roots under the ground gathered together and attacked the girl silently. Senior, you! Call out! But the next moment, before it could finish, the frost sword intent appeared out of nowhere and pierced through its body in an instant. The sharp roots gathered under the ground also withered at this moment. Its body emitted a ray of light, and then gradually shrank, transforming into a palm-sized spirit medicine burning with flames. 1,000-year-old flaming ginseng. Good. I can refine a few spirit pills for you. Seeing this spirit medicine, Suya couldn't help but chuckle. Spirit pill? What is that? Luo Qinghuan waved her jade hand, and the flaming ginseng fell into her palm. Then, hearing Suyi's words in her mind, she couldn't help but ask curiously. It's just a pill that helps you absorb spirit chi quickly. Suya smiled and said casually. Stinky Suya knows so much. Luo Qinghuan muttered, and became even more curious about Suyi's identity, but it was a pity that he wouldn't tell her even if she asked. This bad guy would only tease her and make her curious enough. When you think he will tell the truth, he will laugh and say I won't tell you. This guy is very bad. Thinking of this, Luo Qinghuan gritted her teeth, her little face full of resentment. She thinks so. If I get fooled by Suya a few more times, I'll soon become a shrew. Alright. Girl Luo, hurry up and look for that heavenly soul grass. Suya smiled and ignored the resentful girl. They had been in the Kunlun realm for nearly several hours and had obtained a lot of good things, but unfortunately, they had not yet found any trace of the heavenly soul grass. Luo Qinghuan nodded slightly, put away the flaming ginseng, and was about to go deep into Kunlun territory. Oh! Girl Luo, the opportunity has come to me on its own. Just at this moment. In my mind. Suyi's chuckle suddenly rang out. Opportunity comes to you. Luo Qinghuan was stunned. Suddenly. There was a sound of footsteps. Then, several figures walked out of the woods, staring at Luo Qinghuan with malicious eyes. Junior sister, we just chased a 1,000-year-old flaming ginseng that had transformed into a human form. We chased it all the way here and seriously injured it. It then disappeared. Has junior sister ever seen it? One of them raised the corner of his mouth slightly, holding a folding fan in his hand, and looked at Luo Qinghuan with a smile. No. Luo Qinghuan frowned slightly and shook her head. Of course she knew what the flaming ginseng this guy was talking about was. But it was not like what this guy said. The flaming ginseng was seriously injured. It was intact when she encountered it. Really? The young man with the folding fan smiled and spoke slowly. It's not that I don't believe in you, junior sister, but the Millennium Flame Ginseng is too precious. How about? Junior sister, how about you give us your storage ring for inspection? If it weren't for that Millennium Flame Ginseng, we would have let you go. Brother Lu Feng, why are you talking so much nonsense to this young lady? Just capture her and search her. He, even if it's not in her storage ring, it's probably on her body. Aside. A burly monk interrupted the young man with the folding fan. He chuckled and looked at Luo Qinghuan, his eyes full of eagerness. Chapter 25. Junior brother Wang, don't scare this junior sister. The young man holding the folding fan was named Lu Feng. He first gave the rough monk a reproachful look, then shook the folding fan in his hand, looked at Luo Qinghuan and smiled. Junior sister, my junior brother is impatient and clumsy in doing things. I hope you can throw the storage ring over here and take off your clothes so we can check it. Otherwise, if your impatience, do it myself, I'm afraid I'll hurt you. After saying, the spirit chi emerged from his body, revealing the aura of a saint emperor. Obviously he is a saint emperor. Hearing this, Luo Qinghuan frowned, and a cold look flashed in her eyes. After Su Yi's teachings during this period of time, she was no longer the same Luo Qinghuan. Su Yi said, when facing such people who long for afterlife, she should be kind and willing to help them and liberate them. However, just when she was about to take action, a slightly obscene chuckle sounded again. Brother Lu Feng from Tianfeng sect, you are so good that you secretly ate meat without bringing me along. A fat Taoist priest in a Taoist robe appeared, followed by several people. However, when they saw the girl in white dress surrounded by Lu Feng and others, a look of surprise immediately flashed across their eyes, and they were deeply shocked by the girl's appearance. What a beautiful woman! Master Li. Seeing the fat Taoist priest, Lu Feng frowned. It seemed that he couldn't keep this piece of meat for himself. Master Li. This junior sister is from Xuanyan Saint sect. Aren't you trying to harm me by telling me about my sect? Lu Feng shook his head and couldn't help but sigh. What? A disciple of Xuanyan holy religion. When he heard Lu Feng's words, Taoist Li's expression changed, and the flesh on his fat face trembled 3 times. That's right. Lu Feng nodded. As soon as Luo Qinghuan walked out of the stone gate, they spotted her and discovered that she entered the secret realm alone. They concluded that this was her first trial and she knew nothing, otherwise she would not have entered the secret realm trial alone. Xuanyan holy religion. There was a hint of hesitation in Taoist Li's eyes, and he was obviously a little entangled, but not long after, a hint of ferocity flashed across his eyes. It's better to let the fellow Daoist die than to let me die. For the sake of opportunity, why not? No big deal. Just divide the treasures on her body equally, play with them, and then kill her. That's exactly what I meant. Lu Feng smiled, playing with the folding fan in his hand, and looked at the girl in the white dress not far away with a smile. His eyes gradually became hot. Then this junior sister can't blame us for being so ruthless. With the 2 of us here, this junior sister should not think about running away. If she obeys us, she may be able to have a happy ending. As Lu Feng spoke, the aura of the Saint Emperor realm emerged from his body. Snort? That's right. At the side, Taoist Li snorted coldly, and his fat body trembled, and the aura of the Saint Emperor realm also emerged. Are the 2 Saint Emperor 3 stars your reliance? The girl frowned slightly and murmured. Then, his frown relaxed and he smiled. Very good. I have you surrounded. Lu Feng and Taoist priest Li. Ha ha ha. This junior sister is really good at talking. She surrounded so many of us by herself? What's more, there are 2 Saint Emperor realm masters here. Lu Feng laughed, his eyes full of amusement. Ha 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 ha. I'm going to have some fun with this little girl later. I'll go first, don't fight with me. As soon as these words came out, The disciples from the Tianfeng sect and Huanghua Taoist temple around also laughed. Okay, junior sister, don't blame me for waiting. Lu Feng laughed lewdly, but before he could finish his words, a sword intent suddenly appeared and he stopped abruptly. Why did the temperature around me drop? Taoist priest Li was keenly aware of the changes happening around him, and also noticed that Lu Feng beside him had suddenly become silent. Hey! Fellow Daoist Lu, why are you silent? He looked at Lu Feng who was standing motionless beside him and frowned. Could it be that? Lu Feng was so excited thinking about having fun with this young lady that he lost his mind. Snap! However, the next moment, accompanied by a cracking sound, Lu Feng's eyes widened with fear and despair, and then his head was separated from his body and fell heavily to the ground. At the same time, the girl's voice sounded faintly. Since when can a saint emperor be considered a strong person? As soon as these words were spoken, the surroundings fell into deathly silence when they saw Lu Feng's head fall to the ground, deader than dead. Hiss! She killed senior brother Lu Feng in 1 second. A 3-star saint emperor is no match for her with just one sword. It took a long time. Taoist priest Li and the others' faces changed drastically, and they could hear the sound of gasping for air. Looking at the calm girl in front of them, holding the frost sword in her hand, their eyes were filled with shock. Feeling the terrifying aura emanating from the girl, they finally lost their composure. Venerable realm. She is heavenly venerable. At this moment they finally understood. Why did the girl in front of me dare to enter Kunlun's secret realm alone? Because she has the strength to stand out from the crowd. At this moment, the girl was a little proud under her calmness, and said to Suya in her mind, Look, Suya, I learned the one move you said to kill instantly. Good. Suya nodded with satisfaction. He had gradually cultivated this girl's decisiveness in killing. Auntie, we were blind and didn't recognize a great man. Please forgive us, sir. Yes. We were wrong. Feeling Luo Qinghuan's terrifying aura of a powerful venerable realm master, he quickly begged for mercy. The strong one in the venerable realm. Even if they joined forces, they would probably be killed by a few swords. Looking at the people begging for mercy, Luo Qinghuan frowned slightly and pondered for a moment. According to what Suya said, now should be. Hand over the storage ring, and perhaps I can spare your lives. Hearing this. Really? Taoist Li's eyes turned around. Luo Qinghuan, never lie. The girl nodded. Upon hearing this, Taoist Li and the others breathed a sigh of relief, as if they had saved their lives. Without any hesitation, they immediately handed over their storage rings. At this moment, they didn't care about feeling sad. After all, staying alive is the most important thing. Luo Qinghuan took the storage ring, glanced at it casually, and planned to put everything away. After Su Yi's teaching, she is now very frugal and will not miss any resources that come to her door. After all, Su Yi said so. Mine is mine. What's theirs isn't mine anymore. Etc. Girl Luo, there is a herb in that fat guy's storage ring. Find it out and show it to me. Just at this moment, Su Yi's voice suddenly rang out. This one. Luo Qinghuan searched for a while, and a light blue grass appeared in his hand. This is the fairy grass. Its growth environment is the same as the heavenly soul grass we are looking for. Ask this fat guy where he found this fairy grass. Maybe it will be helpful to us. Su Yi glanced at the light blue grass and said slowly. Good. Luo Qinghuan nodded slightly, then picked up the fairy grass and looked at Taoist Li. Where did you find this spiritual herb? My dear aunt, I found this spiritual herb in the Yushui forest in Kunlun territory. Taoist Li replied quickly. Dark water forest. Okay. I see. Luo Qinghuan nodded. That aunt. Can we go now? After all, you just said, you never lie. Taoist priest Li said cautiously. Of course, I, Luo Qinghuan, never lie. If I say I won't kill you, then I won't kill you. As Luo Qinghuan spoke, a cunning look flashed in his eyes. So. I choose to give you a new life. What? As soon as these words came out, Taoist Li and others' expressions changed. FK. You have no moral principles. The next moment, as the frost sword flashed, screams continued to ring out. If you enjoyed this video, Please give it a like and subscribe to the channel so you are notified of future uploads. You can find the next parts in the playlist visible on the screen or on my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.